Bibor, Ping Ping William, Atoin Juba, Malatori, hey, yo, Ping Ping William, Atoin Benti, Walla Quaju, hey, wow, Ping Ping William, Atoin Malkal, Walla Pinyaram, Ping Ping William.
Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to Legislated Media. My name is Abraham Adit Majak. I'm the host of this evening. My guest for this evening is Edmund Yakani. Welcome, Edmund. Happy New Year. We are still celebrating New Year. It's January 5th. So 5 days in the new year, but we are still in the mood. So I wish everybody Happy New Year. I hope you guys enjoy the new year, and 2024 will be the year of peace and reconciliation in our country. So I hope things will come. So I would like everybody in YouTube and Facebook and Clubhouse, so you guys can hear the room. Edmund, we'll start the show. Before I go ahead with our discussion, just say a little bit about yourself before we talk. But this will be the open engagement because there is a lot of breaking news going on in our country, which we need to inform our people back home and diaspora. So welcome to the show again.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year, as you said, and Happy New Year to everybody, your listeners, your team, in Lex Media, the South Sudanese across the country and in diaspora. The sad moment is that we closed 2013 with a very sad news. And the sad news which we really strongly condemn is the growth of the communal violence, and then also the incidents where sometimes our own forces commit against our own civilians. You might have seen the situation in Gondok, Payam, on the civilian disarmament, where gross human rights violations were committed by our law enforcement agencies or by our security, composed of our military and some members of security forces. And the good thing is that we raise an advocacy around it, and the Ministry of Interior have responded for investigation, and the government of Central Equatorial State also have responded with facts-finding committee. And we hope that those committees or those investigation process will yield results in a transparent and accountable manner. And we have these incidents in Duke that we have seen numbers who have been killed. We have seen some incidents across the country which we strongly really condemn this communal violence. And we have seen a clash between Capoeira and Torit also. Just within these 5 days, we have registered a death of over 20 people. And with the Gondok case, human rights violations. So that's a wrong beginning that we said. And of course, that's why we keep on calling our law enforcement agencies. They need to take responsibility to adhere to civilian rule whenever they want to do disarmament. Yes, we know disarmament is a very important thing. As if without disarmament, we can see incidents going in Duke, we can see incidents happening between Torit, and you can see quite a number of incidents. And still also we have seen what happened in between the Twitch and the Ngok, the retaliation. So these are the incidents that made us to close 2023 in a sad manner, and opening 2024 also in a sad manner. But as you say, there are also in the other side positive developments that are going on in the country. But of course, these positive developments are mainly political, and everybody might have a political position towards it. But of course, we keep on calling that we need to work all together for peace and stability to prevail in our country as we struggle to liberate it from the rest of Sudan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edmund. Let me start on incident happened in Pantokro. I heard that the ship has been arrested, and some of the youth and also some of the children are missing. Is that true?
That is true. Those incidents happen, and even more. Even the incidents of looting of cash of civilians were being taken by some of the soldiers. 19 people were arrested. Of course, youth are inside and everybody, but among the 19, 4 are chiefs, which actually is very hard for you to arrest chiefs. It's very disturbing. That's one thing. And also the approach, because I have an independent team which went to the ground. The approach of some of our soldiers is too aggressive, and they start labeling these civilians as rebels, and then, that made the civilians, that's why you see this forceful displacement that happened. It's simply because civilians found themselves be labeled as rebels. So they have to really run to a place of rescue because I worried what next will happen with the intimidation and harassment that have gone. and a quite number of children that is not known, and it's over 10 children, which is actually a big number, been taken to where they're about is not known. Their mothers have been calling for their children to be released if they're alive. So these prompt the pressure that we generated in various media houses that really gross human rights violations were committed in Gondok. Yes, civilian disarmament is a national call, but the approach to it need to be in a responsible manner, in a manner that you respect human rights, in a manner that you respect rule of law, in a manner that you don't discriminate. But going, leveling people and threatening people, that is the sad news. And that where we fail. The command system of South Sudan People Defense Force sometimes is a bit loose in a manner that does not follow the behaviors of the soldiers. And remember, this is not the first time. They have went there twice. The first time they went, they scared the people and they came back. The second time they went, and people have to go for disbandment. So that is what. But at least there are responses. But we hope that this response will be like the previous responses, where you find a facts-finding committee is formed, but this facts-finding committee will die naturally. Or investigation is done, but this investigation, you don't find the end results and die naturally. No accountability for some of the soldiers. And that's why someone like me, I've been calling actually military justice should be involved in the investigation. Why? Because I have 9 cases which are so positive with military justice. When military justice goes for investigation, they will arrest their own soldiers and they will try them in the public. In Ye, they did 6 times. In Morobo, they did twice. They did in some part of the country, in Melekal, they did in Bor, where you can see real actual soldiers are brought in front of the civilians and tried for the crimes they commit against civilians. Either will be rape, looting, or harassment, intimidation, or killings. So I feel military justice should be involved in the investigation because I've seen them somehow they demonstrate a bit of a positive story around the behaviors that we see negative from our armed forces. So I think still there's an opportunity for our military to really take responsibility and hold their members accountable for those misbehaviors in Gondok. That's why people are saying Gondok in tears.
Yeah, I hope those soldiers should be brought to justice because it's unacceptable to make a violence. If you are a soldier, you are there to protect the civilian. If you do disarmament, just go according to the law. That will not harm the civilian, the children, the woman. That's not acceptable. So they should be held accountable. Also, for this disarmament take place in Tokoro. Like a couple of weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, when we seen the disarmament in Juba, that about 4,000 gun has been collected, including anti-aircraft. And also we see some of the communication that
gadgets
in their gun and other communication. So is it the same way that what happened in Juba, the same way happening in Tokoro? Why they expand the disarmament across around the Juba? What is the reason? Is it the same way? Do the government expect there is a sleeping cell in Juba for do something? So there is suspect here. What's going on there?
For the last 5 or 6 months, past 6 months, there's selective way of disarmament going across the country. You remember it started with Terekeka. Terekeka was disarmed to guns were collected from Terekeka, and then it migrates to other locations. So there's this selective. Then with the festival season, Juba became the target. And even not all Juba, not whole Juba town, it's selected areas in Juba town that they have collected those guns. And now they move to Gondok. So if you follow the trend of that disarmament, it seems there's already a leaked advanced information for those selected areas. Because it seems like, and if you see in Juba, the level of the ammunition collected, then start asking yourself, was it not a disagreement among the forces? Because some of those guns are still brand new. How do they find out their way from the stores to the residential areas? How do they find themselves into the hands of the civilians? How do they migrate beyond Juba into other locations? So it's something that is a question of governance, command, and control within our security and defense forces, and specifically in terms of protection and guidance of our arsenals and ammunitions and weaponry, because I think that's the problem that we have seen in Juba, RPGs and all this. So you start asking yourself, what's going on? So I think it's the same trend that goes that. But the problem is that what happened in Gondok is the bad. Though they tried to do the same thing in Juba and we shouted, and immediately the leadership responded the following morning after we mentioned the misbehaviors of some of the soldiers where they asked people for your tribe, for the community you come from the states you come from, and some people, once you mention your state, they can allow you to go if they believe that you are that tribe, let the Lord be harsh. we raise up that that's a discriminative way. So I think the same behavior that was transferred to Gondok, but with a bit of extra aggression and intimidation of the civilians, and that's why the civilians ran away. And specifically, the mistake of detaining chiefs, taking children. Of course, our assumption on the ground when we send the team, the assumption is that the soldiers were taking the children to reveal for them information about where about guns in the houses with their parents, because they couldn't get anything. So the only way is that take the children and then round them up, which is a traditional way of doing things. But this is in a violation of our Bill of Rights, Article 17, which talk about all issues of child rights. This is in violation of our Child Protection National Policy, 2008. This is a violation of UN Convention on the Rights of the Children, which we are party to it, and partly is a violation of other UN treaties that we are part to it. Because you are not supposed to really round up children, and you can't punish children. You can't do a collective punishment for children because of something that politically motivated. That's another mistake. The other one is the intimidation, the leveling, the looting of taking money from people, and the arrest of the chiefs. They shows the community that their own traditional governance system is vulnerable. The next is their civilians that be targeted. And that's why they run for displacement. So for me, those are the mistakes that really the soldiers who are in charge of the system in that time need to be held accountable. And that's why I feel military justice should go and investigate, and any investigation carried out by anybody should be publicly declared. What are the findings and what's the next steps? Otherwise, it's really terrible. It's disturbing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I hope they will hold those people accountable for it, and I hope the ship has been released and those kids have been released, and if anybody from youth has been hostage and they didn't find anything, so I hope the government should release those people as soon as possible. Let me move to the next. So I see the news before we go to our topic. I see the news this morning that there was incident going on in Jonglei State. There is a fight going on in Duke area. There were a group of youth cattle raid about the 7,000 cattle, and 9 people was killed, and also 16 people are wounded and 4 are missing. So, and the fighting is still going on as we speak. So, do we have anything? And did you hear anything about what's going on there? What happened? Can you give us an update about it?
Of course, that area, the armed cattle raiding between the Murle and the Dinka Duke, and sometimes somewhere in, is active. It's an active zone. And let me give you an indicator here that sometimes our government is not really serious. This incident, its early warning was raised as early as 23rd December, before Christmas. If there's information coming to the public domain that some communities in Dongola are raising concern for the community to be at alert because they see there's a mobilization of potential cattle raiders coming from Pibora administrative area. So if you see those alerts come long time ago before this didn't happen, but this is that happen now. So this is that happen. We are doing our investigation, but we see the number of the death is going to grow. It's going to go big because based on the injuries that has happened. And we will likely also see a deadly revenge, like what we've seen when there was an attack on on Gumruk. So likely they're going to be another retaliation like the one of Gumruk, or maybe worse than Gumruk if the government didn't respond. And it becomes complicated because if you see that area, Duke is part and parcel of all those violence in terms of really protection or self-defense in its work. So now with following the incident, which have not yet healed, the wounds are still there. The one of Fachala, remember the incident which happened in Fachala, which is very heavily deadly. So if you take the pocket of Gumruk, which is not yet properly healed, there's no proper reconciliation there, plus Fachala, now with this of Duke and the aggression that among the conflict communities there is going to be deadly. The revenge is going to be deadly. And it's going to be another different story that even may take away attention from what we have seen in the site of Warrap and Abyei between the Twitch and Ngok. May be silenced. This may become another heading office. And not only this, also there's a deadly event today. Actually, today there's about 4 deadly events. There's also an event happened between Torit and Kapoita. You know, still the numbers may come out, but already the information about the incident happening is reported. We have seen already, it's there in the media. Some people can see in Red Tamazu, it's already reported that there's a clash between armed groups from Kapoita and Torit. And this is going to continue as elections is going to come closer. And that's why I'm saying, remember last time I say, we are now having a conflict disintegrating into states, making states be integrated into an ethnic community line. So likely we're going to have the scenario of Balanda Toposa that we have, of Balanda and Zande we have seen in Tombra. That if you remember last year, I've been keen on this issue of Balanda and Zande and Tombra, and likely we may see it between Lotuko and Toposa in Eastern Equatoria. We may likely see in other locations such divisions are going to come up, and we have seen already in Upper Nile what happened in the Unumis camp. So for me, this is the risk of our society is now breaking down into a violent society. Why? Because the early warning couldn't be strong, and that's why from our side as a SEPO, when we realized that we are tired of speaking about it, we are having the early warning. We decided that this year we need to establish a national mediators. So we call it a panel of national mediators. We need to spot some nationals of high integrity and impartiality to really play a voluntary role to start mediating. Because if we want to wait to this mediation to be funded, we will lose our communities. So this isn't happening. So and if you see first week of 2024, we have registered active, deadly 5 communal violence. It's really disturbing. Almost like in every day, there's communal violence. Though
so
almost
why is it the government deploy those unified forces to those areas, the hard zone, like those areas that there is a conflict going on in Abyei area, in Jongle area, and those other places they think that there is a crisis going on? Why the joint forces, unified forces, should be deployed those areas? Why not government is not take that action?
Government need to be proactive. Why? Because the roots of the clashes is not the same roots. And the sites of the clashes normally is not in accessible areas. Because these youth are moving in the bush. They don't use the main roads. They don't move to an area where there's a main road you can drive a car. And they're far distant, miles from the normal routes where vehicles can move. And they're really in the bushes. And if the government want to respond, the government need to have a very proactive and logistics that need really to be deployed for them to help that. And I was been reading a bit of literature how Museveni managed Karamojong. Museveni have to deploy gunships. Gunship have to be assigned that as people get early warning, this gunship either do patrol, or if there's a crisis, the gunship goes and show a signal that if your classes continue, we'll deal with you equally. And that has created fear of people that, already there are planes in the air watching us, even if we're moving in the bush, we've been trapped. We have helicopters for our armed forces, but of course they don't move anyhow. They wait until when there's a crisis, they go and shoot. But I think there's a high time that really patrol of the military need to be increased, specifically air patrol, to deter this youth from class. Because this youth are not clashing in an area where it's easy to drive a car. If it's an area you are easy driving a car, of course, the soldiers could have responded. This one. 2, our government is not serious on early warning system. They don't consider, they don't take it serious. People are raising alarms. Alerts are coming early. Some of us even go to them voluntarily, go to them and tell them, please send a force to deter this, or please issue this statement, or please call so-and-so. You see? These traditional chiefs that are becoming more violent these days. Sometimes we know they're mobilizing. We say, call these chiefs. Talk to them that you're aware of 1, 2, 3. But there's no will for that. And simply, also I realized that some of these early warning systems have been manipulated, been delayed for certain political gains. So some of these things are, some people try to play and uncover or even minimize the potentiality of the risk because they want the incident to happen, so they take it up for political gain. So this is really the trend that is becoming terrible. That is risky. Even as I'm talking to you, area like Magui is in high tension. Why? Because the commissioner was arrested, detained, because of a claim of 3 or 4 people who claim that they need a refund, or they need a compensation of $19,000 and 6 million SSP. The commissioner was removed by the governor, brought to Juba, locked, and now it became a political issue. People are saying, look here, is it only $19,000 and 6 million defeating the government of Eastern Equatoria not to really pay and allow the commissioner to be humiliated? And no, it is another hot cake in waiting room that may likely blow up. It's a real bomb. So for me, all this is being manipulated by certain political class that just want to gain, and they even have infiltrated the uniform people in responding timely to that.
Absolutely. the government need to do something, because if you are heading to the election and the country is not safe, there's a crisis going on. I don't know how you can have an election during this season. So let us shift to our today topic. Last week you were here and we talk about the letter that the president sent to Kenyan president, that he won the peace negotiation with the Warrap group to be shifted to Kenya. So after a week, our conversation, can you give up what after you engage with the region and global engagement? What are updates that on Kenya peace talk with the preparation of that? So can you give us the update? Have you found anything out with it after a week that we discussed about the issue?
Thank you very much. I try to reach out to certain constituencies to really gain knowledge and gain information about this particular letter. And some of them are regional, some of them are international. I can't name them here, but I will just share what I feel is coming out of them. Some of them I can name, some of them I can't name them per my consent with them when I was speaking to them. But I think the common issue right now on the table is that this letter, because lack of its details in the public domain, lack of information about the methodology about that letter, what does that letter proposed? What is the motivation behind the letter? That is it. What does the letter treat the previous attempts under St. Gideon, what do you call peace process, and this new one? The absence of this data keep the process in dilemma. Keep the process in dilemma and keep every person raising multiple questions. And I will tell you the sort of like common questions from my interaction I have realized. One, is this process new? Does that mean Rome process is dead? Where is St. Gideon in this process? Are they left out or not? And that's why if you see, I think 2 days ago, the secretary of St. Gideon, Paulo, came out publicly, and I think it's there already in the public domain in Tamazuch, in iRadio. He said they are not officially notified by the government about the shift of venue from Rome to Nairobi and the shift of approach of mediation from St. Gideon to William Ruto. So that means already St. Gideon have distanced itself that is completely ignorant. And that set the foundation of so many questions. That set the foundation for mistrust, for lack of confidence about Nairobi. That's one thing I'd like to bring forward. The second thing is also the continuous interaction between the leadership of Nairobi and South Sudan leadership is raising some bit of fears and bit of questions of trust and confidence, of issue of safety and security, and specifically we have now the Director of National Security engaging with the President of Kenya as a party of one of the parties that we need to go through the process. So I think that also raises a concern. And you might have seen even the indicators, you might have seen the shift from Malong's movement. They move away from the call of the elections. So if you see now, anybody want to exit the Nairobi, you use the call for the elections that was made by President during the close of year speech that let the whole armed groups leave arms and join the election. Everyone should know this election is misplaced and we're not going for these elections. Even you don't, in the language that your approach is you are confused. We don't know what you want exactly. So if you see that becoming an exit door for people to walk away from showing commitment towards the Nairobi call that was being made, and I hope that our brother from Malong's group you can host them to that. And I think also if we could proceed further, I wish if we can host all these leaders of the non-signatories to express their opinion, because public need information, public need your voice, public need your position. If you keep secret and you don't come out, public still doesn't have, because it's a time of building accurate knowledge, and so that consensus can be built, because that's the aim of consensus. Consensus can't be reached unless we speak out and unless we're in a dialogue. So that is what at the regional level, still there's a dilemma. The region doesn't have a proper information about it. And when I say region, I refer to AU and IGAT. There's no proper information about the letter, what is it? And if you look at the global international level, and if you look at the level of like Troika, look at Troika and other players within the UN Security Council, they don't know exactly, don't have any clear information. And I think that tells you clearly that the government needs to do a lot of PR work to explain the following. One, what is the motivations? What does this mean to Rome? And specifically now when St. Gideon community came out. And I remember when we were speaking here, I think last week, one of our colleagues who was reacting was saying, this process, why does it need acceptance of America or everybody, and why does everybody, is a South Sudanese process, should be South Sudanese led? Now you see, when St. Gideon comes out like that, I actually follow immediately when St. Gideon comes, when Paulo say we are not informed. I try to interact with some regional international, so quite a number of us are pulling back. No, look here. This process was started by the global Christian community, whom we believe they have stood so much for their independence. We can't really make any statement, or we can't tell you our position until the Christian community express their position, what they think about this process. Now St. Gideon has come out, and I'm quite sure part of those lobby might have pushed St. Gideon to come out, because I really reached some constituents that I was pushing them for, and I think that those might have contributed for Power to come out. And I'm quite sure also some of the non-signatory groups who have been reaching. And I remember in the interview with Pagan have said also he reached out to St. Gideon. So all those reach out is raising pressure on St. Gideon to come out public and disclose their position that they're not informed. So I would like to say, in summary, my interaction all shows me that the approach to Nairobi peace processes is still in dilemma. That's one thing I would say. Secondly, from Kenyan perspective, I interacted with some few people at the center in Nairobi. They are questioning internally, should they undertake this process as a new process, as their own led process, without any alliances? And when I say alliances, I refer without any affiliation to AGA, without any affiliation to AU, without any affiliations to St. Gideon, without any affiliation to the religious community. What does that mean? Because I spoke to one Kenyan said, look here, we have already a case study in your context of agreements that sometimes if they're signed without certain regional and global recognition, those agreements never last and doesn't hold water. And they raised Khartoum Peace Agreement. One of the Kenyans look at Khartoum Peace Agreement by then 1992. Look at other agreements that were signed, how they end up. So we want to go something that it bring a power of influence, it bring power of commitment, it deliver results. So I think for me, government need to do a lot of PR in this particular letter. And what does this letter mean? And what are the motivation? And how does it go? And that's why I wish the speaker or president would have spoke to that. So my findings of my interaction at the regional level, at the global level, shows me that still people are in a very high level of dilemma about this letter. And one of the biggest problems is that that letter is not properly published. And what does it entail in that letter? Nobody knows. But what people knows is that only a subject that His Excellency President have written a letter to William Ruto asking him to mediate a peace talk between the incumbent government and the non-signatories. And His Excellency hope that that could have led to a creation of a political agreement that will contribute in creating a conducive environment for the conduct of the elections, and where he have expressed also that let the whole out group put out arms and they come for elections. Of course, your opposition can't really give it easy like that. They need to really go for actual reasons of why they define themselves as opposition and what they define as the root causes of what made them to get to opposition, and they need to reach consensus with the incumbent on that. So my fear is that likely if Kenya is afraid of that process, this process may die naturally. And the challenge is that if this process dies naturally, the level of mistrust and lack of confidence on any other process is going to grow. First, from the incumbent perspective, Rome will not be a vital venue and process they'll believe in. While from the opposition, apart from Rome, no any other belief, no any other vital process. So it means you have reached to a position where is a clear divide between the two, no point of conversion. Then that means even we may lose the process of the Rome peace process. So that's what. So if you're asking me what are my recommendations, my recommendation would be as follows. The letter offered the opposition, per my interaction in the region and something, it gives the opposition, though they will see it from a negative angle, but they should see that small window of opportunity of interacting with the regional and global leaders over this letter. This offered them an opportunity to interact and engage. And I hope that some of them should also go publicly, like the way how the government went publicly through Akolkur. They met the director of National Security, they met the William Ruto, and they came out public. This is what they met. I hope the opposition can do the same. They should find a way to reach out. I'm quite sure Kenya will be open for them. Let us reach out to Kenya official, and they come out and tell us exactly what have they discussed, what are the outcomes. So for me, dialogue of seeking clarity and setting an accepted pathway for mediation is the best. And the opposition have the opportunity to do that. While from the government need to explain to other players the intention of the letter, to have a buy-in, that buy-in may result it. For instance, if I'm to speak as an advocate devils, that may result to government gaining a regional pressure on the non-signatories to come to the table. But also non-signatories can use that to gain an acceptance in the region, to get the government to get to the table if they wish it's a Rome, or it is what we call the round table for dialogue. But my fear is that this particular agenda is going to be tense as we're heading towards June of this year. It's heading to June of this year. This was going to be tense because June is supposed to be the declaration of the conduct of the elections. So for me, both sides need to have an open mind that they need to have a dialogue and need to communicate. And I feel that also government should respond to some of the concerns raised by the non-signatories. INUNAS has come out with the official letter, press statement, others come. I think that needs response from the government. Clarity is required, or if it's possible, government to put more details on the strategy, how the Nairobi process look like. Maybe it may offer clarity level that some people say, okay, in this particular area, we have no disagreement, but we need to get certain guarantees. So for me, I think that is the level of the dilemma. So I'll say the process up to now is still in dilemma by my regional interaction.
Right.
With the incumbent, I try to reach out some few. It seems also the approach is not yet consolidated in the way that if you approach them, you can know what is exactly the intent to do. Because we have to, for me as an activist, I have to be balanced. I'm not partisan. I don't take side with any, but I have to get all constituencies. Because at least with the non-signatories, some of them in my interaction, I can see clearly their position. Is that there's a fear, there's lack of clarity, safety, security is very important, mistrust they have there on the personalities. And now also with this development, as I said, with the development of Sudan is going to be tense, by the way. Because that development of Sudan is going to put Kenya in a position, which one is a priority for foreign policy, South Sudan or Sudan? And Sudan is getting more higher in foreign policy in attention of Kenya. Because remember, Kenya was disputed, no, we don't want you, and all this. Now, after Himeti went and met William Ruto, Sudan have recalled its official ambassador to Kenya. Though Sudan is not in Khartoum today, what do you call the sovereign council is in Port Sudan or somewhere. They keep on running from one town to another, but still they have not yet declared as a collapsed government. They are still recognized as official government. So with this Himeti regional tour and the reception you can see in Himeti, going across the region and meeting nobody, meeting presidency, and having that equal reception. You know, I was chatting with one of Sudanese analysts who have been interacting. It seems like I have two presidents at the same time that are robbing the region. So that have a huge impact on Kenya. And if really there's these allegations that there's a deals between Himeti and William Ruto, which is an allegation that I have no concrete evidence, but there's allegations like that, that will also somehow have implications on us, on our approach in using Kenya. So Kenya is going to value in terms of foreign interests. Is South Sudan the best or Sudan is the best? Where do we put our attention and our resources and our energy? So that also is going to come into this issue of the calling Kenya to come for the mediation. And remember, if come to Sudan also, we have a different position as South Sudan, how we want to see Sudan crisis will be sorted. Will that please Kenya or will that not please Kenya? With the tension between Kenya and Burhan, where are we? Are we with Himeti or we're with Burhan? You know, we have to balance also. So if Burhan comes to Juba and Himeti comes to Juba, how do we make a decision on the use of the red carpet? Right. Who deserves the red carpet and who doesn't deserve the red carpet? So all these have implications on this preparation, and even for Kenya to set a priority of foreign interest or foreign positioning or foreign picked up of an agenda where they want to invest their energy. I'm quite sure this issue of mediation may become of low profile than Sudan.
And I see that it's very challenging because I see that this country, they recognize Himeti as a president of Sudan. I even see the news yesterday that he even went to South Africa and President the South African president he was welcoming. The reception was huge. And I don't know if Brian, what he will do. He will recall his ambassador in South Africa, like the way that he recall his ambassador in Kenya. So he's a really, what's going on in Sudan is really troubling because I see that there are two presidents ruling in one country. And I don't know if the crisis in Sudan will be increasing if these two generals not coming together, sit down, have a dialogue, and go for election. So that's what I see, but it seems like no, they are not backing away from that. Everybody's want to be a president. So it will be two presidents in one country. It will be huge. Let me go back to our conversation. The whole our group. So what I'm hearing from them, they seem like they are not talking about Soma anymore. Seems Soma is dead. Soma 1 or Soma 2 is dead. They are not talking about Soma. What they are talking about now is NCF. What they are talking about now, they are talking about roundtable. Okay. And you mentioned very good point that this one to shipping the peace negotiation from Rome to Kenya, it will give them the window of opportunity, one, to allow engage, to tell the government, South Sudan government that, okay, here is our agenda. We have a new approach. We are no longer engaged about a Rome peace negotiation regarding about Soma. Now we having our own, we have a different name now. We are called NCF, and this is our agenda. Here is our agenda. And I see 2 weeks ago they released their statement publicly. And our approach is this: we need a roundtable. So their agenda about roundtable should be to accept the what president is saying, that they move negotiation to Kenya. So they okay, here our requirement. We need a roundtable. They demand this to the government, and also here is this is no longer 4 parties in Soma anymore. We have other parties join us. We are called NCF. But the government side, it seems government side is not agree with the new approach that the whole group say. Government is still dwelling same peace negotiation they are doing wrong, in Soma. So this is the big thing here. So what is your perspective in this, Edmund? Because there's a competition going on here.
Yes.
And how they can address it with the government and all out.
There's a political bitter pill here that both sides need to swallow. And the political bitter pill is, will both agree to declare Rome dead? That's a very, very big bitter political pill. Will the government declare Rome dead? Let's go to Nairobi. Will the non-signatory say Rome is dead? Let's go for new process called consensus building roundtable. So it is an approach of different songs, but same meaning. So are they all intended to declare Rome dead? And I remember I followed closely an interview with Pagan, and Pagan was very straightforward. And I like that from Pagan. It's very straightforward. In Rome, we have signed on 1, 2, 3, 4, and all this. So one thing that first the non-signatories need to legitimize that any process we are starting from Rome, where we end up in Rome. And where they end up in Rome, does that impress the round table, that impress the consensus or not? Because remember, the last failure of Rome is a shift of an agenda and approach by the non-signatory. That's what made the government walk away before Benjamin Mariel was there, before he was relieved. And having a new agenda from the whole out from the non-signatories, our point of view, as you said, Soma is dead, because I've not yet heard them pronouncing Soma is dead. We wish that they could say, declare for us Soma is dead. But as you said, Soma is no longer a name that they pronounce. Now they are pronouncing different names and different acronyms, because the acronym of some seems to be in their press releases no longer any common. It's so like completely ignored, and that may be the justification to declare that maybe Soma is dead.
Right.
But if you look from the perspective of the government, is that if you want to bring a new approach and you don't want to start where we left at Rome, the last point, we are no longer going with you. So we'll declare Rome dead. So this is where the point of division come in, the point of political rigidity come in. And as I'm saying, that's why deciding on the destiny of the end results of Rome before it collapsed, it's a political bitter pill for both sides. If the non-signatory says we don't want to build on where we end up in Rome, we are going for round table, does that mean from their perspective Rome is dead, pack it aside? And if they say we are going to a new approach where we don't want whatever we have registered before as a gain in Rome peace process, does that still put St. Gideon a legitimate body? And St. Gideon, will they accept that whatever they have invested with the support wherever they got from as a result on the table, should it be ignored by the non-signatories? Or where is the take of St. Gideon? And the government is playing in this game. The government is playing to this game. For the government side, is that okay? If they are coming with new table, with a new approach, new agenda, let's walk away. We build on Rome.
Right.
But also the whole would say, okay, let's go back to Rome, but we don't build on where we left. We need to start a new process. And here, that's why I describe it as a bitter political pill that both sides have to swallow. That's one. Two, here, you know, somebody told me that whoever have gone to school and wins academic certificates may not be learned, may be educated but not learned.
Mm-hmm.
This is where demonstration of political maturity is required. Here, really the test to political question is a demonstration of political maturity and political discipline. And this is where your level of political maturity and your political discipline will be tested before the public. Because you are stuck. One is saying, we believe on the venue to be Rome. But if we're going to the venue to be Rome, whatever we have registered as a scores during that time, we don't want them. We need to start a new process. And I think here, whole art group need to find a political approach of communicating their position here. And if the approach that they want to communicate their position is sending a signal out that whatever we did as against in Rome is not essential, and we don't want to consider it, that means automatically they have declared Rome dead. And which Pagan was very smart. Pagan dodged it, by the way. I don't know if you realize in your interview with Pagan. Pagan was politically very smart. He maintained political maturity and discipline by saying, no, we have declaration of principles and all this, but what we did is that we proposed for them, can we think about this? And the idea is that, yes, we're addressing the same issues, but can we be inclusive enough? But what does other colleagues mean? And I think that's where you holding interview with the other players, I wish someone like General Thomas Cirillo will be with you in your platform. Others who have not spoken like Pagan should be given chance to speak. And even I wish our brothers, Abraham Awolech from PCA also come forward because they're part of the consensus process. Right. Yeah, you know. So
we reach out to them. Yep.
Yeah. Having these voices loudly and publicly, it will help people in building knowledge, and it will help in narrowing the gap. So if somebody remains in silence without coming out public, it's going to be a bit problematic. So for me, that is it. While from the side of the government is on a big blow if they don't manage it well in comparison to the non-signatories. Why? Because they are in charge of the country. And it will be a big political grave mistake for the government to declare Rome dead. It will be a big mistake.
And what if they declare that the Rome is dead?
The government.
No, the whole.
Of course, that's why you see. That's what I'm saying is a bitter pill. Everybody, it seems like you know the problem is here, but when it comes to close the problem, you start dodging. You start making an excuse. You know, you see a hole that you are going to fall into a hole. You say, no, guys, I'm sorry, I want to go for short call. So you go for short call, but you go for good. You're not going for short call that as a meaning short. It's not short. You go and then when I ask, you have gone for short call. Why don't you come back? So no, the short call actually even have changed. From a short call is now a long call. Now from the long call, I have an excuse. Both parties are playing the same game. The whole other group is playing. So none of them want to come public and declare the process of Rome dead. But if you see the messaging, the communication, both sides were almost reaching consensus that we need to pack Rome. But the question is, if you pack Rome, where is international tech here?
Right.
Because I was following your interview with Pagan. I want to connect few things, and I feel Pagan have raised it for me. I like he really educated me, he sensitized me on the approach in your interview with him. The connection between roundtable, national consensus, and what's the difference between roundtable and national consensus, and what connects both is an inclusive process. Being a roundtable, inclusive. Being national consensus, inclusive. Everybody on board. Okay, and does inclusivity mean also you must open up a communication with the opponent?
Right.
That's the interpretation of inclusivity, or inclusivity means let's all the rest come together and we don't communicate with our opponent until we reach our consent and push our opponent. But if you see from Pagan is that even the opponent need to be talked to, the way how Pagan explained. Which for me, instead of us using the word new approach, I don't think it's a new. I think we need to further build, or we need to further grow the methodologies of how we're going to implement the agreement that are coming in as an outcome of Rome or wherever the venue will be. That this particular approach, we can't go the same way with the test or the revitalized peace agreement. We need to go in a way that voices are given chances, analysis, approaches. So we are not saying it's a new approach. We're saying let's use Rome platform, but let's go further. So the concept of a new approach, we are forgetting the previous way of doing it. The language, let's do things differently. Sounds good, but if you don't put what do you mean by differently, it makes somebody have a different interpretation. And this is why the government is playing around it.
Right.
So for the government, if you speak to government people, I interact with them, some of them. When you ask them, what is your reservation about the round table or the national consensus? For them, the round table, the national consensus is one thing. It means toppling the incumbent and bringing technocratic government. And who are those technocratic? Say it is actually your friends who call themselves that they want to come back as a technocratic. I say, but have they declared themselves? They don't declare themselves they're coming technocratic, because I feel that if they're technocratic, even they themselves will be left out because they're part of the conflict. So technocratic government means you as the incumbent out, and then the non-signatories. And they say, no, these guys, when they say technocratic, is another way around of creating another ladder to climb to power. So also, these are things that you need a dialogue among them. These are the things that you need to have communication among them. And part of the channel of communication, you can take advantage of Ruto.
Right.
Since given now, you use him for communication. Look at Ruto. We had you receive the letter. Can we talk? Let's have a genuine talk. This is our tech, this is our position, this is our agenda, and this. And then can you communicate back to our counterpart, our opponent? And then can you communicate back to us? Also, the same thing, the government should do the same. The government should say, no, the non-signatory, just what they want is let them come on the table. No. Also, you communicate because they have genuine reservations in the same way as you have a genuine purpose of why you're pushing for. You have genuine purpose for pushing for it, but they have genuine purposes for withdrawing from it. So the only way is you find a way of communication. So if Ruto become a channel of communication, let's take advantage of that. So we use Ruto for communication. That's why I was saying it's a window of an opportunity for the non-signatories to communicate back to the government through Ruto that, look here, these are our reservations and here is our agenda. If we can use the language we're using in South Sudan, here are our red lines and here are our green lines. And then let's see where is the red lines, where is the green lines, because sometimes exchanging that may give you an idea to reach consensus. So for me, the bitter political pill is who will take the position to come out public and say Rome is dead. Though I heard McQuay have said Rome is dead, but that's not an official statement. We hear from a statement of the president by saying Rome is dead. No, he speaks later on. If you go deep, they say that is either is what you call misrepresented during the quotation. He was misquoted, or he said no, that's a personal opinion, not an official opinion. So for me, who will take a position to come official and say Rome is dead? Nobody say Rome is dead. Because actually, even saying Rome is dead, you're demonstrating political immaturity and political indiscipline. That any political entity or player want to be associated with political immaturity or political indiscipline. So where is the pathway here? The pathway is that both parties must have delegates of low profile to interact with any other open space. There's two open space. There's in Gideon with Paulo, and there's in Nairobi with Ruto. So take both, strengthen communication, and reach out your position so that tomorrow, if you withdraw, people know clearly why you withdraw, because you are able to communicate, you are able to interact, you are able to engage. That's for me really my take. That's my analysis. That's my position. That you know, in politics, talking is the vitamin for you to get whatever you want. If you want to get a vitamin, politics is talking.
Give and take.
Yeah, it's aggression. It's not being rigid. You know, politicians who are rigid, they normally easily failed. Why Trabi survived throughout the system in Sudan? Because Trabi is not rigid. You come, you know how to play around with you, he dances your tune and he goes with you, he finds his way, he jump on that. But if you see, when take rigidity and you close your mind completely, that only way is I topple you down. As I said, sometimes you start losing legitimacy. People start pulling away from because you are not embracing dialogue. So for me, my call is dialogue is the best way to narrow gap. Dialogue is the best way to push your position. Dialogue is the best way to reach consensus. Dialogue is the best way to clear yourself from mistrust, doubts, and people leveling you for other purposes. So for me, both parties, the incumbent government and the non-signatories, should go for that. Of course, for the non-signatories, one thing that, as you say, Soma is dead. I've said, I repeat myself, I've never had them that. But I think they need to come very clear and put the agenda, because we see the statements coming, and the statements I've been collected, quite a number of them I have now with me. And I keep on tracking one statement to another whenever they issue a statement. I think the position is very clear that we need to do things differently, where everybody's voice is concerned in setting the agenda for political transition in the country. But the question remains unanswered is, how is that related to Rome? Is that outside Rome or that is within Rome? Peace process.
Absolutely. So we will see how this thing will play. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. And we will see how this thing will play out between government and opposition, whole out group. Because what I'm seeing, and this is what I don't understand from whole out groups, because they have all of these parties, and their umbrella is whether it's Soma or the new name now is NCF. That's the umbrella. But the question is, they don't have leader. Who is their leader? In order to engage or to negotiate with the government, you have to have a leader. Yes, of course, I see that they appointed General Pagan as the spokesperson of that. But where is the leader? Because everybody here in their group, so everybody in their group now is everyone is a commander-in-chief, is a chairman, is a president on their own political party. But for this joining group, they're supposed to have the leader. They're supposed to have the leader that can communicate and to talk to the president, to the government, instead of just we are all in NCF or something. So let's move away. So, and but those of you who are watching in YouTube and Clubhouse, if you have a question, I will bring, for those of you in Clubhouse, you can raise your hand. I will bring you up. We have a few more thing we want to discuss here before I open to public. So if you have a question or comment you want to put, we always give you guys a chance to weigh in your opinion. So let us move away from Rome whole out thing. So let me move. I have seen this morning. I have seen announcement that there's information that we received that there will be a Reconstituted National Election Committee leadership will be swearing in on Monday, this coming Monday. Can what is really what the reality that you know about this? This is a breaking news. So what's going on here? So can you give us a little bit about it?
Let me seek a consent. Can I have a break of 1 minute and improve the light? My light went off. I just want to strengthen the light.
Absolutely.
Just like a minute, I can come and respond to your question.
Yeah, take a break. Let us take a break. But let's
get a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just so that I can come and improve the lighting.
Okay. Okay, we are on break, guys.
Jilo wona tonadol ton nyel DJ dingarang jagda lo di ana papi adena majaya jideng makwaga oton parat ye manuni ya kudimit pandani ya ayi ton tuol kutunga ton adena majaya anyar ke begwan ba injit sukula ikapi majong chiro mami baje ayi pingi kielo adena majaya chideng makwaga oton parat iye manuni ya kudimit pandeni ya ayi ton tuol kutunga ton madina majak anyar ke begwan ba injit sukula ikapi majong chiro mami baje ayi pingi kielo adena majaya chideng makwaga oton parat iye manuni ya kudimit pandeni ya ayi ton tuol kutunga ton madina majak anyar ke begwan ba injit sukula ikapi majong chiro mami baje ayi pingi kielo ban tindia den pandiri junu ayoro magal manmadin majak mati tinjina teto kutia tinjiwa ayoro jema mana chulo chulo ire inayo ajibia binye ibon jagalo anyi pino an bayani naga jalya to pandiri chenya undira
Yes, I think we can continue. I just try to improve a bit of lighting.
Okay, we are back, guys. So let's go back. So, all right. So I see the swearing in for the new member of electoral committee for upcoming election. So can you give us about this information for this and for the election? They will be swearing in on Monday, this coming Monday. So
yeah, thank you very much. First is a long-awaited task that is supposed to be delivered, can I say 2 years ago or 1 year and a half ago, for the reconstitution of the National Election Commission and the provision of the revitalized peace agreement, because this is the body that is tasked by the agreement and by the constitution to be responsible for electoral processes. And as we are aware that election is not an event, election is a process. So this process has been dragged for almost the last 4 years. And it was last year, 2 months ago last year, when the president decreed the reconstitution of these institutions, and there was a dispute between the SPLM IG and the SPLM IO. Though SPLM IG said that they can't be called SPLM IG, they want to be called SPLM, but the agreement called them as SPLM IG. And now you're over a position of chief electoral officer. You know, chief electoral officer is in charge of the electoral process in terms of technicalities and all this. So IO initially was their option. So in the appointment, it was swapped. IO couldn't take that. And then the government took it over, and the government says it's a technical person who took over that position. But SPLM IO see that, no, he is an SPLM candidate rather than being a technical person. So there was a discussion, negotiations going on. I think now they have agreed for swapping. I don't know what the swapping is, but the information we have that swapping is that now SOA will give in their position of a deputy chair. For the IO take the deputy chair of the commission, then so I'll find another way. So that's what happened. I think that discussion of swapping have happened and consensus have been reached among them. And that's why now on Monday, they'll be swearing in of the new leadership for the Reconstituted National Election Commission. So what does this mean? This means now we have a mechanism that is tasked to conduct the elections. And this mechanism will be faced with the challenges of how to meet what is called the requirements or the prerequisite required by the agreement for the conduct of the elections. I can share a few: population census, constitution making, and then political parties registration, unification of forces, having electoral security. So those are now going to be the work of this particular leadership of the commission that is coming on board, and that they're not doing in isolation with other institutions. They have to do in connection with other institutions. For example, like what? Like the Unified Joint Command. They have to work with them over the issue of the unification of forces, or JDB, the Joint Defense Board, and then the Joint Transitional Security Committee. They have to work with them. And then that means they have to work with Ministry of Defense, Interior as a unified forces in order to have electoral security. They need to work with the Political Parties Council for political parties to be registered timely and for them to go. They need to really work out with the parties to agree on political decisions. How do we delimitate the newly created big constituents of 158 geographical constituents, where previous the country have only 102? How they go about the delimitations there? Are we going to use population census of 2008, or are we going to new population census? And they need to work with the National Constitutional Review Commission, because constitution is a prerequisite for commissioning elections. Because they want to push the National Constitutional Review Commission to push the constitution-making process to come in advance before declaration of elections in June. So all those technical work is now going to come to play. And that is going to bring to the question of where is the political commitment and political consensus building on exactly what do we define as a good enough condition for the conduct of the election by December 2024, or what is the electoral calendar telling us, what the timeline for the electoral calendar. So after this leadership is sworn in, then next thing is they have to declare the electoral calendar. Then that makes, but this cannot really mean anything, the swearing in, if there's no quick, adequate financing for them to roll out the process that is required from them as a mechanism. If we delay another 2 or 3 months for them to get funding in order to roll out their problem, this eats into the remaining time for the conduct of the elections. So that is how it is. But it is a good news that at least now we're going to have a formal body for elections. So now this formal body we can engage. Because look here, absence of formal body, you speak to an empty space. You have nobody that can respond to your concerns about the election. So at least now we have an electoral commission that is coming to function, that now will respond to the concerns we're going to raise. Whatever concerns we have, we may have different concerns, not of the same focus, but that may help in generating consensus on how do we go about with the issue of the elections. And that, I think, for me, that's where the importance of the swearing in on Monday is going to be. And this also is going to put now the incumbent into a test about their political commitment and their political will. Will they walk the talk for the elections, or they just want to have a talk show that they don't walk? They don't walk it. So for me, it's going to be a test for the incumbent government in terms of allocation resources, setting up the commission, and making the commission rolling out their work. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, so we will follow up on Monday to see what after swearing in, and hopefully we will bring some of the members in the show, and we can ask them more questions. Let me, so while you fix that, let me move to the next, so that we have few people in club who want to ask you question or add in the comment. My last one is about the issues going on. The issue, Edmund, are you there? Okay, let me see here. Okay, guys, let's wait for Edmund. Very quick. The light need to fix his electricity over there.
Just go ahead.
Okay.
I'm getting you.
So yeah, let me move to the next. So regarding about last week we talked a little bit. We talked about what's going on in between Twitch and Abyei. So we have seen. I seen the news that President Salva Kiir had summoned the SPLM leaders in Bahr el Ghazal over the conflict between the region, between the Warrap, State and Abyei. When you were here last week, we talked. What is for your for the last week, the president respond to your call on holding a political leadership of Mayadi and Abyei accountable. So can you give us update your perspective of this and the position that president took to call the SPLM leadership in Bahr el Ghazal regard of your call last week to the president to take an action and help these people who are behind of this conflict between these two communities? Thank God.
Thank you very much. I think it's something that I welcome. It is a positive because it's a call we have made before in this particular platform where we urge His Excellency President need to take a personal responsibility to intervene into these issues. And of course, after that, we had quite a number of meetings with people whom we feel are very connected to the president, who are close. We push them back, we interact with them and get them to look here. There's no need to have silence from the national level. This situation is turning to a top national issue. It's no longer a question of Tweet and Ngok Dinkalon. Though I know some of our colleagues from Tweet and Ngok, after our interview, they are so aggressive. They feel as they speak only, we speak to the tone of one particular party. Some are saying we speak only to the tone of the Ngok, some are saying we speak to the tone of the Twitch. No, we don't support any of this. Both communities have a responsibility to undertake to make peace and to make peace prevail among the communities. And both communities have cases of atrocities in terms of human rights violation. None of them can say I'm clean. We have not been taking side with any of them, but we're trying to come to the middle ground and tell the reality where it is. So able to push that, and I've seen our president have summoned the political leadership of both political entities, Warrap State and Abyei administrative area, to come. And if you remember, there was sharp increase in hate speech and hostile propaganda and misinformation. Even they can level some commissioners are injured, they're now undergoing treatment, while actually if you confirm, it is wrong. A lot of hate speech, a lot of hostile propaganda have been going on. And a lot of negative messaging are coming out as if like people want to go for real war than what is there. Of course, we are aware that is an issue that starts from land and then merge up to now targeting political leaders. So we are not supporting any either of these groups, but we believe that there's a middle ground that we can reach into. So this call of the president is a result of our calls, is a result of our influence, is a result of our meetings, is a result of our push. But for me, president need to have really concrete position, because he have held such meetings before and they have not yield results. How differently this is going to be. And I wish this one really should target those people whom we believe that last time I told you, if there's no response, we are going to name people. Like last time I promised you anything about Twitch and Ngok, we will provide name. At least President have responded in giving us break in calling names. But I think we have a role to provide him with names of people that we feel he should meet them and he should get them. And if you see the statement we issue as an organization, we gave 5 action points there. There's a need for him to meet with the elites. There's a need for him to pursue the issue of the buffer zone between the two communities. There's a need for him to push really more further discussion among the traditional way of managing the issue of the land disputes. Then they need to push people to reconcile. So those ones, president need to take a personal responsibility towards it. So I think it's a good call. It's a timely call, and it's a call that we need to influence. So we don't want to see a meeting between the president and the political leaders of Warrap and Abyei, and there's nothing called as a concrete solution coming out of it. Like it should be like the business as usual. They meet, they agreed, and then they say, we are asked to reconcile, we're going to reconcile people, but there's nothing concrete that you see is leading towards a result that is impressive and telling us that we're going towards peace and stability. So for me, that is it. Our role is that right now we're engaging both communities and we're pursuing both communities to go with concrete positions. Let the Twitch go with concrete positions without any dodge. Let them all go with concrete positions in the meeting. And there in the meeting with the president, they reach a middle ground. And that for me, it helped the communities to come together to coexist. And we told them, abstain yourself from politicizing these issues. Abstaining yourself and denying the reality of facts on the ground, being it a Abyei box or being it whatever. Don't try to ignore that. Stand on the reality on the ground and find a way of how to peacefully coexist with the reality that exists on the ground, the interpretation of Abyei box, the issue of Aneth market. And remember, I told last time, everything is resources in Aneth. Everything's about who is the owner of Aneth and where is Aneth, outside Abyei box or inside Abyei box. And if it's inside Abyei box, is it a Ngok Dinka land? If it's outside Abyei box, is it a Twitch Dinka land? So all those facts are reality that they need to address it before the president, and they need to reach a middle ground on that. So for me, those are the calls that I feel is a very good one. Of course, as an organization, we engage on that. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we have moved as further. We have now established what we call the national mediator, the panel of national mediators. So we will be naming them at this end of this month, individual from South Sudan society of different identity, but people of integrity and impartiality to undertake responsibility. And we feel the issue of Twitch and Ngok should be one of the files that they should undertake immediately, and other merging files that are coming up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Edmund. Yeah, last year, we seen some of the general or political elite who are arrested, both from Ngok side and from Twitch side, and I know those people stay in jail or they're released. We have seen that, and nothing's happened. The issues is still increasing. And the president was silent until when he take out that he summoned these SPLM leaders in Warrap and in Abyei. So what will he talk with these leaders if he sit down and meet with them? Because the issues of Abyei and Twitch, the way I see it, it will not be solved by these political leaders. It will, yes, of course, they will sit and talk, but president need to go further than that. President needs to on the ground to bring the ground root, what the root cause of this conflict. That's where he want to dig in, to bring these people who are responsible for this crisis in the beginning and hold them accountable and bring peace among this community and let these people sit down. These both community, yes, they are brothers and sisters. They have a blood themselves. They need to sit down, reconcile, forgive one another, let them move in. See, as I see what troubled me between these two communities, Edmund, is that the issues of land, they make the issues of land as a big deal. And these people, they have a blood between them.
Exactly.
Why is making a land issues to be a big deal to shed the blood on it? Okay, if you leave from Twitch and go to Abyei, you have relative that you will stay. You will live there. Same thing in Abyei, they will come to Twitch and they live there now. Why now the issues of land become a big problem to these two communities? Why they don't focus with the issues of the other border between Sudan? Okay, so this one, because these are the relative, they should solve these issues as a family. It's a family thing, so it should be go out of hand like this to become a national issues. This is a family issues. Brothers can fight with brothers, and you can sit down, reconcile, and move on. But this is not the case. It's gone beyond that. So they should worry about the Masiria, because Masiria, the one that support both those community, Twitch and Ngok and Dinga Malwal. Those people who are in the border area, those people are the ones supposed to be worried about the Masiria issues, not worried about themselves. So turn gun in yourself is really a bad thing to do, and president have to sit to weigh in as soon as possible. You need to come out public and talk in public. So he's quiet, he's silent, is what fueled this. So I want you to go ahead and put in the last one before I give.
I think this is good to hear opinion of others who may be with us in this platform, the opinion. But my take is that the land issue is been converted to an issue of competition over the growing access to revenue in the area, which is mainly a net market. You see, if everything like a net market should be under buffer zone, and that one can't work because, as I repeat myself, we're not taking side with anybody, but there's a Hague ruling that we need to understand about that particular territory in terms of whether deployment of forces or creating a buffer zone. Even president is going to really push a way of maneuvering it. Municipal need to be involved. So for me, that's something that need to be taken up seriously. But also there are politicians who find they are not being recognized and they're not being rewarded political seats. So they invest on this violence to have an attention and to get reward for political seats. Unfortunately, they get reward for political seats where the youth can be easily manipulated also to deal with them. And you have seen how we have lost 2 leaders from Oxide. We have seen the former governor of Warrap was being attacked in a peace rally. So that become an agenda. Yeah. The people are fighting over it. And then forget about the bitterness between Jur River County and some part of Warrap. Over Manyen, we remember the governors' meetings is a bit tough. It's an issue that raised. So for me, our elites are really, really, really complicating things. They have political motives, they have political objectives that they want to deliver, but they're unfortunate to cultivate a ground for it. The only ground is confusing the communities, messing up with the communities. It's become a fluid ground for them to have attention of the leadership. And as you say it, the leadership do not need to compromise. So if you ask me honestly, if I'm asked to advise the president what we can start, I think president should call both communities, Twitch and Ngok, and table the outcome of a committee of the Council of States led by Angelo Beda. The committee followed the failure of the committee led by Vice President Abdul Baghi Ayi. Remember, those who are detained, they're detained under the committee of Abdul Baghi Ayi when he went and he ordered them to be detained. But when the committee of Abdul Baghi Ayi was disputed by both sides and almost rejected and almost declared dead, and then these people have to end up being released from their detention. But Angelo Beda led a committee of Council of States, and that's the responsibility of Council of States. Except national issues is really the responsibility of Council of States. So for me, if I'm president, if I'm asked to advise president, get that report, put before the Twitch, put before the Ngok, go and deliberate and come back to me with your options. But what I need is you so and so and so and so and so I know you. You so and so I know you. We need this youth to stop confronting each other. We need this youth to open the movement of goods, movement of people without any restriction, without any attack. For me, those are the things we need from the president. And they ask both administration to establish a joint force so that none of them will be accused from the other side. Let them have a joint patrol force of them. As a community, let them agree how, as the two administrative areas, Abyei and Warrap, how do they want security and safety to provide to the communities? Let them put a joint force so that if anything comes, they can come in, whether it's a physical movement or it's a exchange of information or it's a tracking or it's a monitoring. You know, they need to present to push them for that, because these classes benefit nobody. We are losing lives of people whom tomorrow could have benefited this country, but we're really putting their lives into risk. And here we are so busy in our social media, sending messages, hate speech, hostile propaganda. We are not barring our family members. We are barring family members of other families. But we can fool a little level that actually our youth are there. Let them wake up. Let them not stop it. Let them crash. Let them. But you're not barring your son. You're not barring your brother. You're not barring your sister. You're barring sons, brothers, and sisters of other people whom feel the pain. And sometimes they're asking, after the burial, they're asking, why are we burying our son? So for me, those are the responsibilities. So we can give platform for others to hear because of the
let me welcome Attack and Chan and Touch. Attack, go ahead if you can have a question or comment regarding.
Yeah, I do have there's a couple of quick questions and then a comment and a question. The first question is, should South Sudanese be concerned that Kenya could voice these talks, but later give military support to the opposition to fight against Juba? And I ask this because Rwanda and Uganda at the moment are supporting M23 rebel group in the DRC, and I'm quite concerned and I'd love to know whether that's concerning. Also, as well, the other question I had was around the constitution. The people who are going to be running the constitution are unelected, and normally constitution you have to do a referendum to get a consensus from the public. So I know it's part of the agreement, but isn't it a flaw to have the constitution written by unelected people? And my final question is to do with the credibility of the government, and I think it's a really good segue in terms of the discussion you guys had. Not just Twitch and Ngok, but other communities who are having conflict at the moment. And it seems that Juba is doing very little to solve their issues. And it seemed like a big issue when I talk to people back home, when they say that, if it was something that's affecting the government, then the government would respond. But if it doesn't affect the government, they will not respond. And is there a credibility issue? The issue of tweeting, for example, dozens of security forces in November was reported by the SSPDF spokesperson were killed. Dozen is more than 20, by the way. And there's some people said that around 30 to 40 soldiers were killed in south of Kiir. And the government did not say anything about it. And they end up saying that after they were accused by Abyei community that they were involved, that was the only time that they actually came out and said it. And the reason was that they know who did it, but they, and this is a quote, they do not want to muddy the waters. Now, if your soldiers, South Sudanese Defense Forces soldiers, are being killed and you know who did it, and you don't want to say it because you don't want to muddy the waters, that is very, very incredible. And now just quickly on the issue of Twitchinok conflict, Juba and President Kiir know the exact solution. The people of Tweet Mayadit are saying that our land have been included in the Abyei box, which was a creation of a Abyei community. And we want our land south of Kiir to be out of it. That's simple. And it seemed like the government and Kiir, they know the truth, but they don't want to say the truth because they worry that if they say the truth and they, go against Abyei community, that Abyei somehow they're going to go to the north, and that fear is what is keeping the Juba government quiet, and this could actually backfire on Juba, and especially when it comes to election on the government, because people feel marginalized, not just Twitch community, but a lot of communities in South Sudan, they feel marginalized. There are conflicts that are happening where the government actually they've been accused of actually supporting one side of that conflict. So is there a credibility question in that? All I wanted to ask. Thank you so much for allowing me to ask these questions and also to put in my comment as well.
Thank you, Attack. Go ahead, Edmund, to answer his question. Okay, Edmund, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just trying to manage the power. Okay. And let me answer him so that I can get other concerns coming. First, I think we should be concerned. We should be concerned on the past. I would like to qualify him that I answer. We should be concerned because we may likely fall into pockets of things that, and specifically the mess up in Sudan. We should be concerned about the Sudan situation as that particular section of our country, Warrap and Abyei is concerned. We should be concerned there. That's number one. As give the example of M23. The question of credibility is true. Government have credibility issue. Why? Because the same government that design strategy, it have its members that undermine the strategy they have agreed upon, and that have problem with credibility. That people couldn't really give in easily to a government. People start saying like, no, you are friends, you are coming this side telling us the solutions, and your friends in this side telling us to go for violence, and that's what made the what do you call armed groups, which normally is leveled as a youth. Sometimes even they're beyond youth. They're not really youth, but we use the word of youth because youth are mainly in the numbers. Become a strategy of challenging government credibility. And that's why whenever government want to come in, everybody want to undermine the government. It's until when you have a leader that will say like ring, then somehow maybe you can get government credibility by being harsh to those who undermine a government of the day as in administering public affairs. So really it's an issue of credibility. With the elections, constitution is a citizen-driven process. I'm a member of the Constitutional Review Commission, which is reconstituted. Our call is that we need a citizen-driven constitution. We can't have a drafted constitution by few. Though the process, it involves a drafting committee, but citizens have to validate. And if that validation means going to referendum, then it goes to referendum. And remember, there's already what we call parameters for the constitution making, and the parameters have called it as a citizen-driven. So I think for me, sitting at the commission, that's our standpoint as civil society, is that we need to go for a citizen-driven process because, and it's that commission is that constitution is the one commissioning the elections, not this current constitution. The current constitution cannot commission elections until it's amended. Then can commission elections. So you need to have that constitution to commission elections. And this is why the technicalities, political decision is required to be made among the parties on real how to go about with this dilemma, how to go about with these limitations that we need to go for elections. Of course, And if you see public opinion piece out there, sit and say they need an elected government. They're tired of this big size of a government. They need to have a small government that at least respond, that allow the government to respond to their basic needs, rather than having 650 MPs and 35 ministers and almost 1 million something MPs at sub-national level, over 700 or how many ministers at the state level. They want to reduce them down. But of course, balancing between citizens' expectation for having elections in order to reduce the size of the government, but also having credible process of elections that political elites will believe is a credible process. And that's the balancing that require political decision. And that's why I require all of us to engage and all of us to push on what we think is right. That's my answer to my brother. In terms of the Twitch and the Ngok, I was involved there. I know the issue is an issue of land. Twitch will say our land is taken by Ngok. But one thing that I like to bring is that once we have that Hague ruling of the Abyei box, in which by then the issue of the land was not brought forward, it's an area of debate. It's an area of dialogue. It's not an area of using gun and bullets. It's an area of dialogue. It's an area of discussion. We can have several interpretations about it. Oh, Abyei is going to join the North. Abyei is going to join the North. And remember, Sassuna have supported the referendum. Sassuna could declare the referendum of the Abyei. So for me, the whole thing is that we need to sit down and understand the complexity that is associated in nurturing question of land governance between the Twitch and the Ngok. But I don't pronounce that this means we should change history of its origin. We should maintain history as its original. But we need to have a dialogue to continue until we're able to. Because remember, destiny Abyei is determined by the implementation of the leftover of the CPA, and leftover CPA require a government in Sudan. The only option, if we would have a very good Kim Jong-un in South Sudan, you just walk to the border and declare today this is our border with Sudan. Because of the clash in Sudan, then you go, you put your forces there. Unfortunately, we don't have Kim Jong-un. If you have Kim Jong-un, then you just take your missiles and all. You test them even at the borders there. You shoot them at the air, and then they fall at the borderline and say, this is our borderline. Anything around this, we're testing our missiles. You come around this area, we crash you in our land. So it means we're our opponent. But unfortunately, we're not in that position. But of course, also, it have international reputation, as I mentioned before. We can't go aggressive. We can't go unlawful against international norms. Those are the dilemmas that we need. And this is why we need to build sense of argument among ourselves. Thank you.
The Kenya question, you didn't answer the Kenya issue. I asked about should South Sudanese be concerned that Kenya could host these talks, but later give support to the opposition to fight Juba, just like how Rwanda and Uganda.
Yeah, the M23. Yeah, exactly. The DRC complexity that made Tshisekedi even to ignore East Africa, not to observe elections because of the new platform from Nairobi. Sorry. So let me make my take here. My take is that the Kenyan mediation is a bit delicate. Why I say it's delicate at several fronts. One area is delicate at geopolitics. Remember the IGAD process of Sudan. We are competing with Kenya over that. But also with the opposition, the fear is that the Kenya may be favoring more of the government side than the opposition. And the opposition are a bit worried that our arms may twist there and we may go for an agreement that does not favor us. So those are the areas of the concerns. But for me, before we have these assumptions, let's have the dialogue with the Kenyan leadership. Let's push them. Let the opposition push them what they want, the government push them until they reach consensus. That's really my appeal, is that let's not take concerns by suspending dialogue. Let's take concerns by using dialogue as a way of raising our concerns and seeking answer to our concerns. I hope I've answered you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Attack. Let me move very quick to Shan. Shan, if you can hear me, go ahead. Put in your question.
It's not me. This is me, Chan. Not you.
Taji will be going next.
Yeah. Okay. Can I go now? Are you hearing me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, brother Majid, my colleague, brother Majid. First of all, I'm here to talk as a journalist and as an analyst, political analyst. First of all, before I proceed to my comment and my question, I would like to thank you for inviting me to be part of this discussion, this very important political discussion. Also, I want to thank and appreciate my brother, Mr. Edmund Yakani, the director or the CEO of Community Empowerment for Progress organization in South Sudan, who is Sebo, and he's a guy that I've been working with him as a journalist. We cover many workshops, and he did many workshops for us as a journalist in South Sudan. And his contribution to the people of South Sudan is well known to everybody. So my brother Yakani, good to hear your voice again. It's been a long time. I'm Chandel Dut. I was the chief editor of the Shab Arabic newspaper, and also I work at Al-Masir as one of the founders of Al-Masir Arabic newspaper in Juba. And I work with so many media houses, international and local media. Now, as an analyst, you have talked about so many issues, and I will talk sometime. I will use Arabic because I'm more compatible when I talk by Arabic. Yes. Because I'm coming from Arabic background. I started my my school from primary to secondary by Arabic. So no problem. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes. Continue.
What I want to talk about.
Yeah, you are clear.
You have discussed so many. Yeah, you are clear. Yeah. What I want to talk about, you have talked about so many issues, political issues in South Sudan. First of all, we start in the beginning with the disarmament going on in South Sudan.
Sir, you can speak Arabic if you want to.
Yeah. And you talk also about the disarmament that happened. Can hassle before Christmas, and the issue that happened in Gondok حصل فيه إنه تم استخدام ممارسات غير ممارسات ما كويس، إنه تم اعتقال بتاع أطفال وسلاطين من خلال الجمع بتاع السلاح تم في بعض أجزاء بتاع مدينة جوبا. فالحاجة اللي أقوله في الموضوع أو في الانتهاكات اللي حصل من قبل أفراد بتاع القوات النظامية، ده انتهاكات طبعا غير مقبولة، خاصة لما تعتقل أطفال بسبب إن كان فالأطفال طبعا ما ممكن تعتقل طفل أو ما ممكن تقوم تشيل أطفال بسبب إنه متورطين في أي حاجة. لكن السلاطين برضو هم جزء لا يتجزأ من الحكومة واللوكال جوفمنت أو السلطة الأهلية. فإذا حصل أي شبهات أو تورط بتاعت سلاطين أو بعض الشباب في إنهم متمردين ولا هم يعني في شبهات بتاعت إنه بيحاولوا إنه يعملوا خلل أمني، ففي طريقة كويس ممكن الحكومة تتعامل مع الناس الزي ده. الحاجة شفته الحصل، الحاجة اللي قاعد أشوفه وفقا للتحليل بتاعتي according to my understanding إنه الديزارمامنت تم في بعض المناطق، وبرادر ياكاني يتكلم إنه الديزارمامنت تم بطريقة إنه بيقول إنه في معلومات طلعت للحكومة إنه في بعض المناطق فيه متمردين أو في ناس شغالين مع التمرد أو قاعدين يحاولوا إنه يعملوا خلل أمني في جوبا أو في جنوب السودان. المعلومة دي ممكن يكون صح، ده الحاجة في راس حكومة إنه بيشوف إنه منطقة بتاعت كوندوكرو أو اتجاه بتاعت رجاف فيه كلها، ده ممكن أقول ده منطقة بيتبع لبيتر سيريلو، وبالتالي لما يحصل ديزارمامنت من هناك بياخد بود امني وبود سياسي مختلف. فده اللي خلى انه يحصل المشاكل اللي حصل في كوندوكرو. لكن برضو بالنسبه لي انا شايف انه disarmament مهم جدا خاصة إنه الدولة مستعدة للانتخابات زي ما حكومة قاعد تقول، وياكاني عنده علم كثير حول موضوع بتاع الانتخابات أو انتخابات ده ممكن يقوم ولا ما يقوم. ده سؤال اللي ممكن أنا أسأل بعدين ياكاني فيه. لكن الديزارمامنت ده حاجة حصل أكثر من مرة في جنوب السودان. حصل بعد أحداث 2013 مباشرة اللي هو 2015 و2016 وكل ما يعملوا ديزارمامنت بيلقوا انتشار بتاع السلاح بصورة مبالغ في يدين بتاع المواطنين، وده خطر في حد ذاته بالنسبة للمواطن وخطر بالنسبة للحكومة. زي الديزارمامنت الأخير اللي تم لقوا 4000 قطعة بتاعت سلاح وفيه يعني معدات يعني ما مفترض أو يكون عنده مواطن عادي أو أي شخص. فده بوري إنه جوبا ما آمن بالنسبة للمواطن وما آمن ذاته بالنسبة لأي زول جاي من برا. إذا كان أي زول بيملك سلاح زي الأسلحة اللي جوه، فبالتالي الحكومة ذاته مفترض تسأل نفسها الأسلحة ده قاعد تجي كيف ومنو اللي قاعد يعمل إنه الأسلحة ده تنتشر بصورة ده. فبالتالي أنا بتفق إنه لازم يكون في ديزارمامنت جمع بتاعت سلاح مهم من أجل بتاعت أمن بتاعت مواطن واستقرار بتاعت الدولة. لكن الانتهاكات مرفوضة طبعا، وده واحد من المشاكل اللي حصل. ونعمل إنه المجتمع المدني أو منظمات المجتمع المدني زي سيبو عندها تأثير في الشارع السياسي في جنوب السودان، ممكن تضغط على الحكومة. والإعلام برضو تلعب دورها برضو إنه كيف تقدر تشوف الناس اللي تم اعتقالهم بهذه الطريقة، هل متورطين في انتشار السلاح ولا هم بينتموا لمجموعة بتاعت الشرلو من الداخل. ده بالنسبة للموضوع بتاعت الديزارمامنت الرأي بتاعتي فيه. بالنسبة لل برضو يتكلم عن موضوع بتاع إنه الانتشار بتاع النزاعات الكونفليكت الحاصل within South Sudan in different area. Like example, Jungule, and انت سألته قبل, you asked him about the conflict that is going on in Jungule and other part of Bahr el Ghazal like Abyei and Twitch, and Wow also is facing the same issue of conflict. في مشاكل بين Apuk and some tribes of Western Bahr el Ghazal. So also inside of بقولوا شنو كان في منطقة بتاعت فشلا ومنطقة بتاعت بيبور، مناطق بتاعت جنوب السودان معظمها فيه مشاكل. فأنا في رأيي أنا شايف إنه المشاكل اللي قاعد تحصل في جنوب السودان ما مشاكل جات من تلقى نفسها كده، يعني ما من مواطنين. لكن أنا شايف إنه أنا قاعد أنظر إنه في political أو في politician وراء هذه المشاكل أو في المشاكل اللي قاعد تحصل له في سياسيين وراء، والسياسيين ديل هم اللي بيحاولوا إنه يعججوا المشاكل ويخلوا المواطنين في عدم استقرار دائم لتحقيق أهدافهم الشخصية. وبرضه ممكن يكون في أهداف أخرى، ممكن يكون في other objective أو other أسباب تانية هم قاعدين يعملوا. because إذا شفنا within a period of time لما الحكومة أعلن إنه أول حركة شعبية أعلنت إنه الدولة ماشية للانتخابات، المشاكل ظهرت بصورة كبيرة جدا جدا في كم من مناطق. بمعنى ممكن نقول إنه في جهة قاعد تعمل إنه تعرقل العملية بتاعت الانتخابات في حد ذاتها، إنه ما يكون في انتخابات، لأنه أنت ما ممكن تعمل انتخابات في رأيي وبلد فيه مشاكل. بار غزال اللي كان قاعدين نشوف أكثر استقرارا فيه مشاكل حسي على النيل طبعا دائم في المشاكل. some part of Equatoria برضو فيه مشاكل. so أنت هتعمل انتخابات كيف؟ so ده واحد من التشالنجز أو واحد من المشاكل اللي قاعد أشوفه إنه النزاعات الحاصلة في جنوب السودان ممكن تأثر على عملية بتاعت ترتيب أو إقامة الانتخابات في حد ذاتها. لكن الانتخابات مهم بجانب انه يكون في عمليه ديمقراطيه في الدوله، والشعب تنتخب رئيس بتاعه حكومه ممكن يخدموا اكثر من الحكومه الموجود بدون خدمات المواطن. ده من جانب بتاع النزاعات الحاصله في جنوب السودان. بالنسبه للايشو بتاع ابيي، الايشو بتاع ابيي انا ما شايف انه ده مشكله بتاعت ارض وبخ فقط. It's not the issue of land only, but I think there is a political problem inside between Pitch and Ngok, because the two leaders or the two community عارفين reality بتاعت المنطقه. هم قاعدين سوا زي ما قلت قبل في سلة بتاعتهم. من الصعب انك تمشي ابيي وما تلقى انه في ود اخته بيجاي وده بيجاي في ود، يعني كلهم متزاوجين في تزاوج بيناتهم. فدي الناس عايشين من زمان بدون اي مشاكل، لكن فجأة ظهر مشكله في الافق، وده بيوري انه في سياسيين وراء الحاجه ده. والدليل على ذلك انتشار بتاع السلاح بين الشباب بتاع شباب بتاع تويتش وشباب بتاع موب. بيلقوا سلاح وين؟ السلاح ده بيتم مدهم من قبل القيادات السياسيه او القيادات الموجودين في المنطقتين. وده حاجه انا قلتها من مره وانا متاكد من الموضوع ده، انه السلاح المنتشر دليل على انه في ناس بيدعم هؤلاء الشباب اللي في المنطقتين. ومشكله ابيي ما مشكله ممكن يحلوا سياسيين برام، لكن ده مشكله محتاج ل بقول له شنو قياده بتاع الدوله، شخصيه بتاعت رئيس بتاع الجمهوريه سلفا كير ما يريد انه يحسم مشكله بتاع ابيي ده كان بقرار، كان يمشي للمنطقه ويجمع قيادات بتاعت منطقتين، القيادات السياسيه والقيادات الاهليه، ويحسم المشكله بتاعت منطقه بتاعت النيد او مناطق التويتش. بيقول انه ده مناطق بتاعه، ولا ابيي برضه بيقول انه ده المناطق تابعه لابيي بوكس. ابيي بوكس كل الناس عارفين انه بدات كيف 2009، وده من كون اللجنه ده كله حاجات الشارع السياسي والناس المتابعين لابيي عارفينه. فالمسائل دي محتاج من القياده السياسيه انها تحسب المشكله بتاع ابيي، مش اللجان تم تكوينها سواء كان لجنه بتاعت الجمهوريه ولا ده اللجنه الكونو برئاسه نائب الرئيس حسين عبد الباقي. فاللجان دي كلها هي عباره عن لجان تم تكوينها، لكن التوصيات اللي بتيجي بتكون تحت الترابيزه وما في زول بيشتغل في التوصيات. بالتالي محتاج لقرار حاسم بالنسبه لقضيه بتاع ابيي، لانه احنا ما محتاجين لانقسامات داخليه، لكن محتاجين لوحده عشان نقدر ننتظر اللي ممكن يجينا من برا، مش نقدر نتكاتل برانا. فده حاجه بيشوفوا انه محتاج لتدخل بتاعت رئيس الجمهوريه بالنسبه لمشكله بتاعت تويتش وموب. بالنسبه ل I think كلامي الاخيره حيكون حول ال initiative بتاعت رئيس الجمهوريه about the consensus national consensus group اللي ما وقعوا اتفاق حتى الان مع الحكومه. انا شايف شخصيا انه المبادره بتاعت رئيس الجمهوريه ده مبادره كويس، انه واعي كل الاطراف السياسيه الحامله السلاح والغير حامل السلاح انه تنضم لعمليه بتاعت سلام ويكون في سلام، والدوله تستعد بشكل كويس للانتخابات، والناس تستعد لعمليه ديمقراطيه عشان تنتخب حكومه جديده في جنوب السودان. لكن اتفاجأنا انه في قيادات من المجموعات بتاعت ناشونال كونسنسس زي سيريلو رفض انه كينيا ما الدوله المناسبه انه يعمل هوست للمفاوضات، وبشوف انه روما او بيقولوا شنو المدينه اللي كان عامله الهوست يو افضل انه الناس ترجع لروما وتمشي تبدا المباحثات هناك. انا شايف الحجه بتاعت سيريلو، انا شايف ده ما حجه بتاعت الشخص جاهز انه يوقع سلام او يكون في سلام في جنوب السودان. بالتالي لانه كينيا معروف إنه استضاف مفاوضات كثيرة، حتى مفاوضات بتاعت الاتفاقية جنوب السودان بقى دولة بسببه ده كينيا أو كان حوص، وكثير من الاتفاقيات. بالإضافة إلى إنه معروف إنه أي دولة اللي بيقبل إنه يكون وسيط أو يعمل حوص لاتفاقيات أو لأي خلاف سياسي، مسؤولية بتاعت حماية بتاعت الأطراف، مسؤولية بتاعت الدولة المعنية، ده ما مسؤولية بتاعت دولة تانية. بالتالي الحكومة الكينية وروتو بحكومته قادر إنه تبروتكت الأطراف اللي هتيجي في نيروبي عشان تجي تفاوض الحكومة. فأنا ما شايف إنه سريلو ممكن يحصل له حاجة في كينيا، لأنه المفاوضات الحكومة ممكن تنقل مفاوضات من روما لأي محل تاني بموافقة بتاع الأطراف إذا وافقوا للكلام ده، وإذا ما وافقوا برضو الأطراف برضو تشوف المحل المناسب ممكن الناس تقعد فيه، الناس تتفاوض فيه وناس تصل للاتفاق المرجوع الممكن يحقق السلام الشامل في جنوب السودان. فبالتالي الرأي بتاعتي إنه مبادرة بتاع الرئيس إنه يطلب من روتو يستضيف المباحثات، ده حاجة أنا شايفه كويس، ومفترض التنظيمات السياسية الناشونال كونسنسس يقبلوا الكلام ده، وناس تيجي تقعد نشوف ممكن يطلع من المفاوضات بتاعت كينيا شنو. lastly الكلام بتاعتي حيكون أسئلة. I have like 2 questions to brother Yakani. The first question is brother Yakani, as part of عضو بتاعت مراجعة بتاعت الدستور أو بقولوا Constitutional Review Commission، من معروف إنه طبعا جنوب السودان حاليا بيحكموا حاجة اسمه اتفاقية المنشطة. إلى مدى إنه for how long you will work as a National Review Commission to work for the what is called for the تشتغلوا لإعداد الدستور الدائم لجنوب السودان قبل
دستور
بتاع
الدائم.
نمبر 2 بإمكان إنه هل بإمكان حكومة بتاع جنوب السودان، لأنك أنت مراقب وأنت جزء لا يتجزأ من المجتمع المدني الموجود في جنوب السودان، وقد تكون لعملية بتاعت هل في الوضع الجنوب السودان قاعد فيه ده ممكن نقول إنه في انتخابات هيعمل نفسه في أواخر سنة 2024 ده، وإذا في إمكانية الدور اللي بتلعبه شنو؟ What is your role as a civil society and what is your role as SEBO in particular? This is number 2. Number 3, can you talk with the national consensus? Do you have a role to عشان تقدر تقنع الأطراف، خاصة الطرف بتاع السوريين الأطراف الأخرى الرافضة إنه نيروبي ما يكون الطرف في ما يكون الدولة المستضيفة اللي هذه المفاوضات عشان يكونوا
ما يكون المغار وطرف.
Can you talk with them? Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, brother. Brother Chan, you can use your mic now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming to the show. Appreciate it. Edmund, go ahead and answer his question.
Shukran Jazira. I don't know that should I answer in Arabic or English, but I think let me answer in English so that at least many audience also get my responses.
Yeah, and you can speak Arabic, so some of them are Arabic speakers.
Yeah, so I think for me, the first thing I'd like to tell my brother that with regard to the disarmament, if we start having concepts that this disarmament is scary because we have rebels somewhere, and then we'll be harming our communities. That's one thing that I like to make it very clear. And I do agree with him that we don't condone atrocities. Wherever atrocities was committed, we cannot condone it. You know, même le sejje yukun fi intihagak, yukun fi no min ازدواجية أو في نوع من القلل في تنفيذ انتهاك لحقوق الإنسان. فبندين وإدانة تماما. لكن لو إذا إنه بقى إحنا قاسيين في الديسارمامنت وبنسني في مجتمعات عندنا فيها تمرد، هتأثر بمجتمعات كبيرة جدا. هنكون ده تأثير سلبي للمجتمعات حقنا لو إذا عندنا فهم ده. أنا بالنسبة لي نعم، نظر السلاح ده كمشروع وطني إنه بنطلب. Disarmament is something national and we demand it. So, but we should not demand it by leveling other communities that this community belong to rebels and this community does not belong to rebels. So for me, this leveling is making it much more problematic, and it's making it much more making people fear about, like, some people are being targeted with the disarmament, which is wrong. We try to put people into that bracket. So that's one thing I'd like to make that's very clear. Number two, I don't think that we need to really put Gondok as a base of NAS, because really it's an area, it's a PIAM, it's a government structure, it has its government structures. The government, but let's have that in our mind, that we don't level our communities behind revolutions and we go disarm them. That is really, but yes, of course, there may be prior information, but that prior information should not put citizens to be challenged. And of course, intelligence work all over the world normally collect data, but don't subject citizens to that. That's one thing I'd like to put forward. With regard to the constitution, it depends on how much resources we have. All this political transitional process can happen in the shortest time as we have financial support and political will. We can win. We can do them in the shortest period of time. We can deliver. But of course, remember, if we deliver the constitution, we deliver the constitution in the sense that the constitution is meeting the principle that this constitution, it is a citizen-driven constitution. It's not a constitution of the elites. So with the infrastructure we have in the country, how do we make something that it is a citizen-driven, consultation, validations, all these things require infrastructure that is good. And that's sometimes some people are a bit worried that with the infrastructure, it may take time to bring a constitution. But of course, constitution have to commission the elections. And elections is a requirement of ending the revitalized peace agreement. And there's a political dialogue, political decision over this particular dilemma. يعني لو يكون في حوار سياسي لاتخاذ قرار سياسي، لأن في ازدواجية في المنطقة دي، إجراءات الانتخابات قبل الدستور ولا إجراءات الانتخابات بعد الدستور، في ازدواجية في الحتة دي، فبتحتاج شنو لقرار أو مواقف شنو سياسية من قبل قادة سياسيين في جنوب السودان. Coming to the issue of the questions he raised, one, elections can happen if the political leadership invested money and political will. That's one thing that I like to say forward. With the infrastructure we have now, December 2024 is a challenging timeline, because the timeline starts from June. It's supposed elections to be declared. And remember, before you declare, there's a pre-election activities, civic education, all that. So our role as a civil society, if I can answer that question also following this, is that we're going to increase civic education for our people to understand why election is very important. Whether there's election, there's no election, citizens need to know that. For me, that's very important for our civil society to play a big role. In reaching out to the non-signatories, I don't think I'm going to reach out only to Thomas Cirillo. We need to reach to all of them. As civil society or non-partisan, we need to reach all of them, and even need to also influence the government from Juba here, that we need to change your political attitudes. All sides have to change their political attitudes in order to have the results. So for me, that's we can play as a civil society. The concerns NAS have may be legitimate concerns. We can't brush them off. But as a political science is concerned, is that let's embrace dialogue. Let's listen to their concerns. Let's give them the room, let them raise their concerns. And that's why we keep on calling for dialogue. That silence is not the option. Rigidity is not the option. Let's talk. Let's use talking. So I don't think that we should say completely NAS is not interested for peace. That's what they're putting up. Maybe they have concerns. Let's listen to their concerns and let's respond to their concerns and let's see the next steps. And that's the meaning of dialogue. That's the meaning of mediation. Mediation, you cannot conclude on somebody and say, we can't listen to the concerns of this side. No, listen to their concerns, see their concerns that have raised it. Maybe they have legitimate evidence to prove to that, no, based on this evidence we have at hand, we can't go for this. And you see how to go about with it is the same thing. So for me, it's a change of political attitudes. But options of having a dialogue for peace to prevail in our country is overall. Unfortunately, we are so rigid in our political approach, and we are so selective. We are so suspicious of every single processes, and that normally hinder culture of political dialogue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our last one is that Tash, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, did you hear me, Madit?
Yeah, he can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to give you thanks, Madit, for inviting Edmund Yakani to come to the podium here so that he can brief us. I want to ask Edmund Yakani,
because we heard that the disarmament in Gondok has been done properly, and then the other people come in and then again beat the people, and then they demand these people to pay money or goods, and then also the children have been taken. Do you know where are these children? Whereabout is? Are they going to be released or no? The second thing is also, is it like not harassing these people to go out so that they can take the land of these people? The third thing is, why they are disarming, why they are calling for disarming, meanwhile the cows from Jongole are roaming with the guns. Are these cows also disarmed? These people moving with the cows in Equatoria, probably mostly central Equatoria. Are they disarmed now? They are not, their cows are not moving with the guns now, became with the scene. So we need to hear from you, Edmund Yakani, where are these children now? Are they going to be released? Because even our governor for Central Equatoria said he's going to investigate. Meanwhile, people have already been pushed out from their land. And then Edmund Yakani also, I want to ask you, why is it always that the government term, when they do something like, for example, in another area, they term it, that is a rebel place, that is a rebel place, and in the other place, they are not termed as a rebel place. Why is it? Is it there something behind it or no? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tash. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, thank you, guys. So go ahead, Edmund.
Let me start with the last one. I don't think that we should level Gondokoro as a rebel place. That is wrong, by the way. And that's why from day one, we condemned it when the incident happened. And that's why I was talking to the last speaker before your question, is that we should not use that approach, because that approach means we'll be harming our communities. And this approach was used somewhere before. This approach was used in Jongole, it was used in Pibor, it was used in some part of Bahr el Ghazal, and didn't work. And I think this approach, and even for me, I don't accept really that approach. It's a wrong approach that you level people, they belong to rebels. Gondokoro is a payam of a government, and the government administration, have not declared rebel area. So who are you to level it like that? Which for me, I completely don't agree, and I condemn that seriously, that we don't embrace that, because these are South Sudanese citizens that none of them a government structure have declared, because it's a payam. That's one thing I like to say. To all the atrocities committed there, we condemn them. And I'm speaking from facts that I have my team on the ground and I'm getting a primary hand. We condemn them seriously. Collected gold is misbehaviors with the soldiers. And that for me goes to the people of command. What instruction have they given the soldiers when they're going to collect the armament from the citizens? For me, and that's why I was saying we need military justice to be in, so that some leaders to be held accountable. Maybe they miscommunicated to the soldiers the way how to approach the citizens. And that's why I have led to these violations of rights that we strongly condemned. That's one thing. Where are the children? We have been demanding these children to be released right from day one. We are aware these children are under the custody of the military, the chiefs, and everybody, and we've been demanding. And that's why we push the government of Central Equatorial State to ensure these children are released and ensure they have returned back to their homes, and ensure the displaced people have returned back to their homes. Because why should they have displaced people because of disarmament? Let them go back to their homes and let things be done. And those who have committed atrocities should not be allowed to walk away with it free. They should be held accountable. And that's what we have been demanding. And that's what we stand for. And that's what we have been following it right until now. We have not yet lifted our influence. We have been following to make sure those soldiers are held accountable, and the mistakes that are committed, people are held accountable for those mistakes. That's what I like to say in terms of what's going on. These children must be released. And this is the call we have been giving. And we have given our timeline that by the end of Sunday, if you don't hear these children are with their families, we'll take still a hard position to push the Central State government and the Ministry of Interior to make sure that these children are safe and they're back to their homes, and with the chiefs that are detained, and those people who have been looted, their looted property are returned back, or they're compensated for what's been looted. And that's what I'm saying, not only compensated and giving back to them that, no, those who have committed those atrocities should be held accountable, like the way we have seen some soldiers tried in Abyei for raping, for killing, for looting. The same thing, military justice will be involved. That's why we don't want only a political facts investigation. We need to see military justice to prove that what they have done in holding some soldiers accountable in some locations are done to the incident in Gondokoro or elsewhere, not only Gondokoro, and elsewhere in any part of the country. We have seen these things happening in Tonch. We campaign until we're able to get people held accountable for those things. In what happened in Tonch, we have seen this in Melekal. Militaries have done. We have seen these things in Bor. So for me, It's the same case that we have seen. Some case that people have been held accountable, people should be held accountable. Leveling for me is not the best way. Leveling is a wrong way, and it is a weak politics, weak propaganda that you want to harm community because of certain political as we have. That is wrong. We can't embrace that. That's what I like to communicate to my team, and to the team that asked the question, to our brother who asked the question, is that that's human rights violations. We condemn it, and that's why we're asking Central Equatorial State Parliament to really raise a motion for accountability and justice to prevail on incidents on Gondok. But we say should not be in the same way like how the Kejikejian was done. Investigation was done, everything was done, results were not declared, nobody held accountable, it died natural death. We don't want that. We need to see people, because today may happen in Gondok, tomorrow may happen anywhere, by the way. Tomorrow may happen anywhere. So why should we use this strategy? If we're real nationalists, we must stand up and hold those who are perpetrators accountable. That's really my take. And as an organization, we're a human rights-based organization. We need to see justice and accountability prevail, whether in Gondok incident or any other incident of similar nature anywhere in any part of the country.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me, my last question is Uncle Ado.
Madid, he never answered one question. I asked him, is it now the cows in Equatoria who are moving with RBG with are they disarmed now or no?
Let me share with you, my brother. Let me share with you. I've received this question from several concerns. Some of them come public, some are not. Less than a month, we had a meeting in Central Equatoria where we brought all the security institutions. We questioned them about the movement of armed cattle herders across. It became a tense. And I remember I would like to say some people are leveling me. I'm a fan of Dinka, and at that day, Dinka were leveling me. I'm a fan of rebels, by the way, Abraham. When we were pushing that discussion with them, the Dinkas were coming like, no, you support rebels, you're a rebel agent. It's the same way how some people here will level me also that I'm agent of Dinkas. The reality is that these cattle which are moving with arms are not cattle of normal Dinkas. These cattle are cattle for the generals. So we need to name and shame the generals on those movements, because I'll give you some case studies. I've seen some case studies where guns were collected, but in less than a week, these guns are recycled. When asked the people who go behind the guns, will tell, no, these guns are not ours. We didn't get the guns, we didn't buy them from the market. So send it to us. So the question is, what is wrong in naming the owners of the cattle so that we hold them accountable on that reason? So even how much you talk about it, you can't get it. You find them, look at what happened between the in Meridi. Leave that. Look at what happened between the Moro and the Mundare in Lakamade. These are all players of people who are holding guns. So for me, let's take responsibility. Let's call a spade a spade. These people who are moving with arms, as we name them as a pastoralist, the owners, people who supply those arms, are people who are sitting at decision making. Unfortunately, we don't want to name them. So for me, we need to name them, and then we see whether they're disarmed or not. Because sometimes evidence are coming that they have been ferried. Not only just simple that these people have been given. Vehicles are involved, but borders are involved in ferrying ammunition and arms. So then you ask yourself, is there no government? Is there no anybody? Who are these people that are unable to be held accountable? So that's my answer to you, my brother.
Thank you. So our last one is Uncle Ado. You can go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah, shukran Madid. خليني أشكرك والإخوة الموجود في مصر وجنوبين القاعدين يستمعوا علينا تحت، ونشكر الأستاذ مستر إدموند موجود بتاعه في ميديا تعليق بسيط قبل السؤال. أنا أقدر نعلق بسيط قبل السؤال. الآن بيعرف تمام في جنوب السودان هي الزول بيشتغل في حكومة بتاع سالفا كير بمعنى the supporters بتاع حكومة بتاع سالفا كير ما يرجد. أكيد ما في زول بيكون again الحكومة بتاع سالفا كير إذا أنت ما بيسبورت حكومة ده أنت ما بتقدر تشتغل فيه فترة طويلة. أكيد بيشيلوا برا. إدموند كزول في مجتمع المدني اشتغل في حكومة بتاع كير أكيد هيمرروا في بعض من الأشياء الحكومة بيعملوا هو بيقدر يمرروا، لأنه إذا هو ما مرروا كان ما قاعد فترة في حكومة بتاع جنوب السودان.
بالنسبة لكلام بتاع تجميع السلاح في جنوب السودان 4000 قطع من السلاح جمعوا في داخل مدينة جوبا. إذا كانت تهمة بتهم قبيلة باري ولا بتهم المعارضة المنتمين لناشونال سالفيشن فرونت، هذا 4000 سلاح قطع من السلاح موجودة عند مردين بتاع ناشونال سالفيشن فرونت في هايتي. أكيد أدمون بيكون موجود في جوبا الليلة مع حكومة بتاع سالفا كير ما يرتيب، بيكون مطرود لأنه 4000 جيش عمره موجودة في جوبا تبقى في مدينة جوبا عشان يطردوا الحكومة دي برا في مدينة جوبا. لكن للأسف الشديد التهمة مشى لقبيلة باري لسنترال إيكوتوريا ومنطقة بتاعنا بتنملي. إذا كان كوندوكور واحد من منطقة بتاع متمردين من السنة الفات اتهموا كوندوكور وعملوا فيه شيلينج مع أنواع بتاع أسلحة البطاقة لمواطنين البريئين في كوندوكور. إذا كان هذا السلاح الموجودة في قبيلة باري، هل السلاح الموجودة في قبيلة باري يا أدمون هل بيقتل أنفسهم مع السلاح ده عشان يتم تجميع بتاع السلاح ده؟ هل باري وأهلنا في نملي ما دي هل بيقتل أنفسهم مع السلاح بدم في جنوب السودان؟ وهل قبيلة باري بيقتل بعض من القبائل في سنترال إيكوتوريا هل وفي مدينة جوبا بيقتل مع السلاح بدم ده عشان الحكومة يلفت النظر بالنسبة له؟ ولا القصة أصلا هي تهمة لتدمير قبيلة باري وأبناء قبيلة إيكوتوريا وسنترال إيكوتوريا بصفة خاصة؟ وإنه السلاح يا أدمون كممثل بتاع مجتمع المدني اللي بيقتل الجنوبيين، السلاح اللي بيقدر يجمعه أول في أول وينه السلاح في جنوب السودان كأنت مراقب مجتمع المدني؟ بالنسبة له السلاح اللي بيقتل الجنوبيين والسلاح الموجودة في بحر الغزال وعلى النيل، هذا السلاح لابد انه يتم تجميعه قبل ما يتم السلاح اللي ما بيقتل انسان في جنوب السودان. ثم بعد ترجع للسلاح بتاع سنترال إيكوتوريا اللي ما بيقتل، على اساس الحكومه هيقول انه لكل واحد لابد انه يتم disarmament بتاعه. على كل حال حصل في جريتا إيكوتوريا اكيد الحكومه هيستمر، لانه المؤسس بتاع حركه بتاع ناشونال سالفيشن فرونت من قبيله باري، لابد الباري وسنترال إيكوتوريا وايكوتوريا تدفع ثمن غالي. وقالوا كلام ده سيد الرئيس الجمهوريه ان النوير وايكوتوريا سوف تدفع ثمن. انت بيعرف كلام ده كويس يا ادمون، كله كتابات بتاع سيد الرئيس الجمهوريه. سؤال، هل انت كمجتمع المدني تقدر تقدم حاول انت قدمت التوصيه لكل المنظمات الدوليه المعنيه بحقوق الانسان في حاجه اللي بيحصل في سنترال إيكوتوريا وخاصه في منطقه بتاع مالي؟ السلاح موجوده في نمولي، السكان بتاع دينغا القاعدين في نمولي وقتل فيه 7 سلاطين بتاعنا. هل عندك تقارير او انت هل بتقدم حاجات لجهات معنيه دوليه عشان يحقق فيه؟ شكرا جزيلا.
Okay. Thank you, Lado. Yeah, go ahead, Edmund.
Let me answer him. First, Lado, just let me adjust the light. That's what I come to Lado. I want to answer Lado properly, so that yes. Let me just adjust the light. شكرا لادو بكل احترامي لرايتك مهم، لكن عايز اقول حاجه يا لادو، انه عايزه طبعا بيكون مواقف سياسيه ومبني على مفاهيم سياسيه ممكن بتقدر تهم ظلم زي التهم اللي انت وجهت عليه ده، انه لانه كان بالحكومه. لادو هل تعلم انه احنا دل قاعدين نوجه تحديات وان شاء الله قاعدين ننسحبوها وصنفونا انه احنا جماعتكم تناس برغم انه ما عندها يقضوا في ناس. فنفس التصنيف اللي انت بتصنفني بو ده نفس التصنيف النظام بيصنفنا. لكن انا زول حقوق الانسان واقف على الحقوق وانا جايز اصنفه باي زول بكل احترام وتقدير. فبس انا اقول لك ايه لو عندك رايه انت اختلاف مع الحكومه ما تتحي منه اي زول عايز في جوبا انه زول مدمر او زول ممل لطرف اللي انت موجه فيه. ده الرساله حق لك لعدوينه انا من نفسه من ابناء اسرائيل الوسطى. فكل ما انت عايش في الخارج ولا تقوم توجه انه اي زول عايز في جوا ده كان زمانك نفس الحاجه كنا زي ما كنا عايشين في ايام التحديد. جنرال توماس ريلو بيعرف كويس انا اتكلمت معاه هو بيعرفني كويس جدا كانوا زمان بيصنفونا انه احنا متمردين تاع الاس بي ال اي. فنفس ده نفس السلوك ده نفس السلوك اللي انت بتصنف. فانا بقول لك انه انا بحترم رايتك انا بحترم كل شيء لكن انه ما تحول توالي تقوم تنظر في الزول وتقوم تصنفه لانه موقف حقك السياسي ضد النظام. فده ذات ثقافه سياسيه ضعيفه جدا. لا انه عندك فكره انه اي زول عايز في جوبا ده توجه انه زول ده متهم وزول ده عميل وزول ده متعاون. احنا قاعدين سجنونا قاعدين حددونا وسابنا الشهادات ولسه بنطلع شهاداتنا لان انا زول واقف حقوق الانسان. التعامل المجتمع الدولي ما بدون ارشادات. قد يكون عندي بعد من الريكونيشن انه احنا شغالين شغل شنو بالنسبه لحقوق الانسان. ده حاجه واحد. نمره اثنين في النهايه غوندوكورو احنا مشينا توالي كمنظمه ديننا في اول يوم. احنا اللي مشينا فرد الوقت دقتنا نشر شرطه دقتنا حكومه الولايه لحد ما كون لجنه لحد ما اختلفوا بالاحداث. كنا فرد الواقع كنا بنتابع اللي بيحصل شنو كنا بنسجل اللي بيحصل شنو وقد كنا وجهنا بعض من القاده السياسيين دارين ينقروا قدرنا اديناهم ادله رسميه. قلنا في كذا اطفال وفي كذا اجنام وفي كذا قروش وفي كذا ناس في كذا عمال حصلت وهنا عندنا اثبات. قام قال لنا خلاص معلش انتوا وجهت لنا الاثبات ده خلينا نعمل نديكم الرد من يا حكومه الولايه كونوا ما فيه التحقيقات ده. فمعلش لادو بكل احترامي لك انه لو اذا ما عندك خلفيه اني عليك ادرسوا قبل ما تصنفني. لان بنفس الطريقه اللي انا ممكن اصنفك وانا ما جدي في مساحه المجتمع المدني. So just want to ask you. So I want to provide him an answer that I respect his opinion. But this political culture of leveling people because the people that you are in conflict with the government, whoever stay in the government territory, and what to level it, is the same way how the government did a mistake to level the bar is at the bar because Thomas the bar all bar in Gondok. It's the same attitudes. So how different are you if you're supposed to have power? If you're out there, you can level me. That means if you give it a chance to the government, you can level the same way you have to level. So this culture of leveling, it's a weak political attitude. So don't rush to leveling. Let us address issues. Let's not level. Let us not create certain theory to justify our argument. This cannot help you completely. I'm a human rights defender, and I'm known for that job. We are known for that job as an institution. We stand up, we condemn day one, we produce facts, we register it, we put it on the table. We have been named, and sometimes even we have been leveled by the government that we're people of NAS while we don't have any loyalty to NAS. So it's the same way. So for me, that political weakness of a culture or rigidity or lack of political maturity in analysis, in argument, it should be stopped. Let's look at issues and let's tackle them. We have never condoned what happened there. We have never accepted the leveling. That's why before you, the people are leveling and I rejected. I say this one cannot happen, whether in Gondok or anywhere. It's wrong. It's not a good approach. So don't raise political emotions that because somebody is not with you, then that person. And then remember, there's a say from Nelson Mandela. Don't believe that anybody should be an opponent of your opponent. Itamato menino aizol ma magda de zemil aduk. Uma tatkhayl ino aizol adu alek de kun adu alay. It's a political science. But let's tackle issues. So for me, it's a question of political maturity that I would like to speak to you. And I have colleagues, if you're from NAS, I have colleagues who knows who I am. So my standpoint is if something is wrong, something is good. What happened in Gondok completely, we cannot condone. We must condemn it and we must hold people accountable. That's why Mingi Bela and I was demanding for accountability. And we have seen what happened in Nimule. We've been there. I personally went to the ground. We demanded for accountability. Right now, Magui Commission has taken in. We've been demanding why Magui Commission was arrested. Whether in Kajukeja, I was down on the ground. Whether in Yam, down on the ground. In Tombra, I was on the ground. I'm an activist. I don't speak from anybody's opinion. Nobody can shape me. I go myself and see it. Whether in Warrap, whether in Tonch, whether everywhere, whether in lakes. Whether even in Pibor or in Fachala, I go to the ground myself. And to get it for myself as an activist, this is my principle. I must be evidence-based. So if something does not favor you, don't rush to clash, because the day also I'm going to do something that favors you, you're openly going to level me the same way you have leveled me. So for me, please build political maturity if you want to pursue a political argument. But anyway, Lado, I would like to say my answer to you is that what happened in Gondok, we condemned it and we're demanding for accountability. That's one thing. And I don't believe that Gondok is an administrative area nobody have called as a rebel-based. So those who are leveling it, they have mistaken, they're wrong, and they should be held accountable for that. And that's what we're saying, return the children, release the chiefs, let the forceful displacement be taken, let people return back to their land, but those who commit those atrocities should not be allowed to walk away without being held accountable. And that's why I was demanding military justice to be there. So I'm sorry, if you see me that you want to level me in the way, of course you have your opinion, I respect your opinion, and I believe that you are an intellectual who have gone to school and you know what leveling, what does it mean? And ignoring efforts of anybody, what does it mean? Because that means if we give a chance to your government, the same way you look at me, the same way you look at the opponent. And that's a complete political weakness. This is what we've been, when we've been fighting the North. The North will level us. Today we're behaving like the North. Today, anybody who is not with us in the system, we say this person is rebel, and we have been leveled on that. Our certificates have been withdrawn from registration, but we keep on getting them. So anyway, I respect your opinion, but that's my answer to you, is that we don't support any violation of human rights anywhere by anybody. And as I said in the answer of the first question, is that whatever arms we have in the hands of the people, wherever they are associated with the leaders. And even I'll tell you, Lado, let me give you one example. I have to be honest, Abraham, let me give some facts here. I come to realize recently, even with Equatorians who are using dinkas and mundaris to carry guns, and the kettles are theirs. Recently, I faced one until the person came and confessed to me when he kneeled down, when I've generated my evidence. He's an Equatorian, because the government have kettles, he'd go and hire the mundari and dinkas to go, so that we blame them that but actually the actual owner is not a mundari or dinka. Some of the facts that nobody don't talk about it. These are something that sometimes are bitter to speak about it. But someone like me, I will tell you. I know they are very powerful, but they hired these tribes to cover them. So for me, let's just stand on where spade is spade, clean is clean. We are demanding these children to be released. Compensation should be done for what has been taken, but the still perpetrator should be held accountable as rule of law is concerned and as adherence to civilian rule is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edmund. I appreciate it. Thank you for answering those questions. Sometimes some of the questions they will go personally, you know, and this is and this is the reason for our South Sudanese. Labeling is really a big problem, you know. Like for instance, you and I, we've been labeled in social media. Like for instance, I have been labeled. I'm a national security agent. I'm a government support. I'm JCE. The same way they are just labeling you, you know. And this is not when our South Sudanese see you are doing the right thing, you will always label. Same thing. I'm being led. This obviously label me the same way. Government support label me. Oh, why I'm bringing in opposition leaders to my media platform. You are opposition supporter. You see. But the conversation here is like dialogue is very important. Let us open up. Let's talk to one another. Not just creating your own group and then stick there in your small corner, and then you talk. And then what you say is a fact. See other side of the story. What is going on there? But do not label people regarding what you see this person is doing and then you label it. So, and this is the problem our country is moving forward. So let us treat an incident happened during that time. Let us treat it that way. Let us condemning it. Let the government solving it. Don't take it another and give it another name. Let it stay that way. So that's what, and this is what is challenging a lot of things going on in social media, especially our people in diaspora. Our people in diaspora are playing a very negative role in our country because they are not on the ground. They don't know what's going on the ground, but what they pick up in social media, propaganda, what they pick up, they believe that is facts. You see?
But also Abraham, Abraham, this belief that everybody in Juba is a government is a wrong political analysis, by the way. These are weak politics.
Yes,
these are politicians who are survivors, because it's the same way when we're fighting for independence, but then any Junub is labeled as SPLM, but wasn't. So now, if I give an authority with that attitude, if you sit in Juba, we'll not see anybody as a rebel to your system in Juba. So it's the same mentality. So for me, stop it. Let's be matured enough. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we come to end our show. I would like to say thank you for those who come and put in your perspective. I want to thank Brother Shan for coming your first time to come to Legislative Media and to ask your question. I will acknowledge you for the wonderful work you have been doing there and continue doing. That's journalism is the eye of the people of the country. So you are there doing your job, and I appreciate that. I acknowledge you, my brother. Keep up what you're doing. And Uncle Lado, appreciate it. Taj, I appreciate it. And Tab, and the rest of you guys are listening in Clubhouse. Thank you so much. And I also thank you for those of you who are watching us in Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much. I wish everybody a happy new year. We have another show coming out in a couple hours. I will see you back then. So before I end up the show, let me give this microphone back to Edmund to put his in last remark before I close down the show. Thank you. Edmund, go ahead and put in your last remark. Okay, so as been said, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful night, wonderful morning. I will see you back again in a few hours for another show. There's another interview coming up. I will let you guys go, and I will see you back. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Have a good day.
In Juba, Malatori, hey, yo, in Ping William, in Benti, Walla Quaju, hey, wow, in Ping William, in Malkal, Walla Pinyaram, in Ping William.